take him outside?
By the shoulders ought to do it, Captain.
Keep quiet, George. Go on, Smollett. Go on. You've seen dead men before. Crack him. Crack him. I'll just hold the gun here to make sure that everything goes all right.
Oh, Mother, come away from the dim window, dear, don't do it. But Captain Smollett, Father's a very resourceful man, Millicent. I'm sure what he's doing is right. But the Captain, God, I can't stand it. I mustn't question your dear father.
I say, are you two still at it? There's enough trouble around here without blubbering.
I'm not blubbering, George Pincey.
So, you see, Smollett, everything is perfect. They'll never look in our way. You see how safe it is? I can get it to you. Oh, man, you're dripping wet. Why didn't you slip your raincoat on? Tea ready, my dear?
In just a minute, dear. I'll ring for Bridget.
Exactly what you need, Smollett. A cup of tea. Best thing in the world to ward off a cold. Sit down, won't you? Oh, don't mind getting the chair wet. Cigarette? Help yourself. I stick to my pipe, you know. Funny how...
Princess, everything's hot, ma'am.
Oh, Bridget, yes. Put the tray in front of me here, on the table. That's it.
I say, Captain, you've gone and cut your lip.
I just knocked it.
Oh, how dreadful. Here, Bridget, give the captain this cup.
No, thank you. I rather think I'll be running along now, if you don't mind.
Oh, Captain Smollett, without any tea.
If you don't mind, Mrs. Princey, if I could just have my raincoat.
Oh, I'll get it for you, Captain.
Oh, this is very distressing, Smollett, very. I'll be all right presently, I'm sure.
Here we are. Now, let me help you.
Thank you, young man.
There.
I'd better go out the front way, Smollett.
Come here.
Walk is
Ma'am.
right.
Oh, let me hold the door for you.
Don't worry, old
Get in the
fellow.
chair.
Don't worry at all.
Get up here.
Nothing serious, I imagine. It'll rest and you'll be as right as rain. By the way, Millicent, you're not looking any too well.
No, not well at all. I'm sure it was that croak he caught. Being outdoors in weather like this is simply foolhardy.
The mater's right, Millie. You saw what happened to Captain Smollett.
Oh, come along, dear. I shall give you a hot foot bath and put you to bed. A couple of days in bed and you'll be fine again.
Get plenty of rest, Millicent, and don't worry about a thing. That's the best cure.
Well, get out of a little rest too, Governor. It's a fine afternoon for a nap.
Indeed it is, son. Well, enjoy yourself. I'll see you later. I'll see you all later.
Your number, please.
Oh, would you get me to the police station, please?
Police station? Right away, sir.
Police headquarters, Sergeant Yancey speaking.
Oh, hello, Sergeant. This is Prince here, Abbott's Road. I believe you know me.
Oh, indeed I do, Mr. Princey.
Sergeant, a horrible thing has just happened. Quite extraordinary. Murder, in fact.
Murder?
I'm afraid it looks rather bad for a close friend of ours, unfortunately. We saw him do it. I think you'd better send someone over right away.
Our man should be there right about now, Mr. Princey.
I beg your pardon?
I say, our man should be there now. Constable Martin has his post right below your house there. Just rang in. Seems Captain Smollett was with him.
Captain Smollett?
He reported some rather queer goings on at your place, and I certainly didn't understand it was murder. Just don't touch anything, Mr. Princey. And don't worry. Don't worry at all.
No. I won't, Sergeant. Thank you.
Governor! Governor, where are you?
I'm right here. Stop shouting.
We have some visitors, Governor.
Oh, yes, I can see that.
Well, Constable, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Princey.
And Smollett, I see what a remarkable fellow you are, coming back like this. Here to reenact the crime?
Only the one against me, Princey. The one against the curate I'll leave to you people.
Extraordinary sense of humor.
Mr. Princey, I just had a look at what's in your well. Not a pretty sight, that. Not pretty at all.
Yes, Captain Smollett was thorough, if nothing else.
You saw him when he did it, sir, out in the back?
Oh, quite. We were just returning from a walk. Smollett evidently had been laying for the curate, hiding out in those bushes by the road, I imagine.
He was never inside this house?
Never.
And you say, Captain?
I say that while I was inside this house, a guest of the family, I was coerced into dragging the curate's body outside and dumping it in the well.
Well, there we are.
Not entirely, Constable. I'll just remove my raincoat. There. It demonstrates how damp I got my clothes when I went outside without it.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Quite. He undoubtedly removed his coat at some point between here and your post. I might as well tell you that his weapon, a red croquet mallet, is out by the side of the house. I shouldn't be at all surprised, but that you'd find his fingerprints all over it.
All over the end of the mallet, Constable. The end that mashed Withers' head. Not the end I'd have had the grasp in order to do the mashing.
Governor. That's a decent try, Smollett, but it won't work. There must be other evidences, Constable. You'll undoubtedly find them when you examine the body.
Well, he means my hair under Withers' nails. Well, sir, if you look carefully, I believe you'll find a few of my precious hairs under his son's nails, too.
Here, what are you trying to... Constable, this is an utter waste of time. So far as the violent struggle between Smollett and Withers is concerned, Smollett's face speaks for itself. Quite eloquently, I believe.
Oh, but no more eloquently than your son's knuckles. As you see, Constable, a fresh abrasion. He did that on my teeth. Or did he?
What?
I say, or did he? He might have done that on Withers' teeth.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean.
But I didn't. Governor, he said I...
Oh, keep still, you nitwit. Let me think.
As a matter of fact, George, the more I think of it, the more I'm convinced it was your voice I heard. Quite a vigorous quarrel. Something about the curate jilting your sister.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Smollett.
Very well, Princey. If your son didn't do it, who did?
That's what I'd like to know. How about it, Mr. Princey?
Well, that is a sticker, all right.
George, my boy, it looks like you're elected.
Elected? What do you mean? I didn't do it. Why, I had nothing to
Keep
do...
your mouth shut, will you?
I won't. I'm not going to take the blame for her. Millie did it. She did it with that mallet. I saw her.
You could prove that?
Prove it? Yes. Her fingerprints on the mallet. The handle.
Why, George, don't you remember when you made me touch the mallet? When you picked it up with your handkerchief?
No,
George, I'm sure you wiped that handle clean. Oh, well, I could hardly expect you to remember that if you can't even remember killing the curate.
Governor,
I told you to keep still.
But, Governor, you're not going to turn me over.
As long as I can remember, George, you've been a trial and a tribulation to me.
Governor,
You shouldn't have done it, son. You really shouldn't.
No, George, that was definitely wrong. I say, Princey, I think I'll have that cup of tea after all. Nothing like it in weather like this.
Wet Saturday, from the short story by John Collier. You have just heard the second in Columbia's new series, a series designed to bring you the best in thrill entertainment. Outstanding dramas from the field of fiction and radio, stage and screen. Dramas of pure suspense. This Columbia feature is produced and directed by Charles Vanda, with script by Harold Medford and score by Bernard Herrmann. Be with us again next week at the same time when we present Suspense. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Columbia Network takes pleasure in bringing you Suspense. Suspense, Columbia's play theater of outstanding thrillers, produced and directed by William Spear, and scored by Bernard Herrmann. The notable melodramas from fiction and stage and screen, from the world's great literature of entertaining excitement, presented each week to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense. Tonight's adventure in suspense is from the pen of Dorothy Sayers. She called it The Cave of Ali Baba. Like the tale told by Scheherazade, a distinguished ancestress in the storytelling art, Miss Sayers' thriller deals with 40 thieves and with 2 magic words. For your uneasy listening, then, Suspense presents The Cave of Ali Baba. On a Saturday afternoon in January, in the grim and narrow house in Lambeth, a man sat eating kippers and reading the daily paper. He was smallish and spare, with brown hair rather too regularly waved, and a strong, brown, pointed beard. His double-breasted navy blue suit, his socks, tie, and handkerchief were all scrupulously matched, and his brown boots just a trifle too highly polished. He did not look a gentleman, not even a gentleman's gentleman. Yet there was something about his appearance which suggested that he was accustomed to the manner of life in good families. Superior butler, perhaps, yet not old enough to be retired. A footman who had come into a legacy, yes. He had just finished eating. He was sipping his coffee when a slight noise at the front door caught his ear. Swiftly, too swiftly for a quiet little man sitting eating kippers and reading his paper on a Saturday afternoon, he sprang up, he dashed through the small hallway and flung the door open.
Of course, no one in sight. The society is at least dramatic in its delivery of its correspondence.
And as if he knew what he would find, he shut the door and turned to the hat stand in the hall. An envelope had been placed there. It was addressed to Joseph Rogers. So Mr. Rogers opened the note.
Number 21. An extraordinary general meeting will be held tonight at the house of number 1 at 11:30. You will be absent at your peril. The word is finality. Finality. Yes, I think so.
The man called Joseph Rogers stood for a moment, studying the note. Then he strode to the rear of the house, to a tall safe built in the wall. Carefully, he manipulated a dial. He swung the safe door open, stepped inside into a small strong room. He opened a drawer marked correspondence, placed the note inside, and then came out again. A moment to reset the lock for a new combination, and then he went back into the living room. He reached for the telephone. He lifted it from the cradle and then reconsidered.
Too dangerous.
He hurried upstairs and clambered into an attic. In the furthest corner, he searched for and found a knothole in the woodwork. He pressed it. A concealed trapdoor swung open, and he was in the loft of the adjoining house. He paused before 3 cages, in each of them a carrier pigeon. Carefully, he wrote a note, slipped it under a pigeon's wing.
There you are, my pretty. There, take it easy now. There you go. Fly straight. 4:30. I'll send another pigeon at 5, and the third at 6. I should have my answer by 9:30 at the latest. Oh, I forgot one thing, most important.
Mr. Rogers moved through the trapdoor, back into the attic of his own house.
Would you just have to
Once
keep
again, he
sending
stood before the
cases out
tall
in case
safe
they got
built in the wall.
took out by
He
something?
opened the door.
I don't think my
Stepped
message
into
is
the
through.
strong room, moved for a moment quietly in the dark, and then spoke gently.
Now, be good, my sweetheart. I'm depending on you. Open sesame. Come on now, old thing. Open sesame. Open sesame. That's better. That's very much better.
By 9:30, his answer was back. All the little piece of paper said was a hasty okay. At a quarter before 11, he took his revolver from a locked drawer, inspected it carefully. Yes, loaded it with cartridges from an unbroken packet, and left the house. He walked quickly, keeping well away from the wall. And when he climbed on a bus, he sat next to the conductor, where he could watch all who got on and off. By 25 minutes after 11, he was out on lonely Hampstead Heath, pausing in the shadow of a large tree to adjust a black velvet mask, on which, in white thread, was stitched the number 21. Then he stepped briskly to the door of the villa that lay before him and...
What is it?
Finality.
Come in. Go right on through. Number 1 will check you in.
Right. "21, sir.
Lift your mask. Very well, 21. You may go on to the meeting room.
Thank you, sir.
The room of the villa in which Mr. Rogers now stood was a large one, a brilliantly lighted room. There was a gramophone in one corner, blaring out a jazz tune. To its rhythm, couples, masked men and women, were dancing. Some were in evening dress, some in tweeds and jumpers. In another corner of the room was the bar. Mr. Rogers went up to it and asked the masked man in charge for a double whiskey. He consumed it slowly, leaning on the bar. The room filled. Presently, someone moved across to the gramophone and stopped it. Mr. Rogers looked around. Number 1, the massive gentleman in evening dress who had checked him in, appeared on the threshold. A tall woman in black stood beside him. Her mask, embroidered with a white number 2, covered her hair and her face completely. Only her fine bearing, her white arms, and her dark eyes, shining through the eye slits, proclaimed her as a woman of power, of physical attraction. The masked dancers were silent now, as number 1 spoke.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are short 2 members tonight. I need not inform you of the disastrous failure of our plan for obtaining the plans of the court Windlesham Heliscoper. Our courageous and devoted friends, number 15 and number 38, were betrayed and taken by the police. Some of you might fear that under examination these 2 would break down and give away our society. There is no need for such a fear. I gave the usual orders, and their tongues have been silenced. Their defense will be discreetly compensated in the usual manner. I call upon number 12 and 34 to undertake this agreeable task. They will attend me at my office for their instructions after the meeting. Will the numbers I have named kindly signify by raising their hands that they are able and willing to perform this duty? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your partners for the next dance.
The gramophone struck up again. Mr. Rogers turned to a girl near him in a red dress. She nodded, and they slipped into the movement of a foxtrot. The couples gyrated solemnly and in silence. Their shadows were flung against the blinds as they turned and stepped to and fro. The girl in red spoke to Mr. Rogers.
What's happened? I'm frightened, aren't you? I feel as if something awful was about to happen.
It does take one a bit short. Number one's way of doing things. But it's safer like that.
Oh, those poor men.
No talking, please. You know the rules.
Sorry.
In silence, the dance continued. And then it came to an end. And then when it had finished, the dancers came again to where number one sat and waited with tense eagerness for him to speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may wonder why this extraordinary meeting has been called. The reason is a serious one. The failure of our recent attempt was no accident. The police were not on the premises that night by accident. We have a traitor amongst us. This last failure was not the first. You'll remember the unfortunate way in which the affair of the Dinglewood pearls turned out. And there were others. However, I am happy to say that our minds can now be easy. All these troubles have been traced to their origin. The offender has been discovered and will be removed. The misguided member who introduced the traitor to our ranks will be placed in a position where his lack of caution will have no further ill effects. There's no cause for alarm. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your partners for the next dance.
Again, the gramophone took up its bizarre monotony. The masked dancers glided and turned, and their movements were sharper, more staccato. The girl in red was claimed by a tall mask and evening dress. A hand laid on Mr. Rogers' arm made him start. A small, plump woman in a green jumper slipped a cold hand into his. The dance went on. When it stopped, everyone stood detached, stiffened in expectation. The endless interval was over. Number one raised his voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will no doubt wish to be relieved of the questions on your mind. I will name the persons involved. Number 37. No! Silence! I swear on it! Silence! You have failed in discretion. You will be dealt with. If you have anything to say in defense of your folly, I'll hear it later. Sit down.
Number 37 sank down upon a chair. He pushed his handkerchief under the mask to wipe his face. Two tall men closed in upon him. The rest fell back.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will now name the traitor. Stand forward. Number 21. Take off your mask. Number 37. This man was introduced to our society by you under the name of Joseph Rogers, formerly second footman in the service of the Duke of Denver, dismissed for petty thievery. Did you take steps to verify the statement?
I did, as God my witness. It was all straight. I had him identified by two of the servants. I asked all over about him. The story was true. I'll swear it was.
Number 21. Your name has been given as Joseph Rogers. Is that your real name? Answer me. Is that your real name?
No.
What is your name?
Peter Death Breton Whimsy.
Silence! I compliment your lordship. We thought Lord Whimsy was dead. He was killed, so the paper said 2 winters ago, while shooting big game in Africa. He even left the will, proved of £500,000.
To his mother, I believe, the Dowager Duchess of Denver.
Lord Peter Whimsy, indeed. Well-known book collector, man about town, distinguished criminologist, took an active part in the solution of several famous mysteries.
Taking an active part, if you don't mind.
So you deliberately led us to think you were dead, and became Joseph Rogers to gain entrance to our society. What has become of the real Joseph Rogers?
He died abroad. I took his place.
And the end of your impersonation to uncover our society.
Precisely.
I see. The robbery of your own set, on which we congratulated ourselves, and which you helped to execute, was arranged.
Obviously.
The robbery of the Duchess, your mother, was arranged by you.
It was. It was a very ugly tiara, no real loss to anybody but the case.
The burglary of the Windsor mansion, the theft of the necklace, the Covent Garden, the others as well. You arranged them all.
All. May I smoke, by the way?
You may not. Numbers 15, 22, 39. You have watched the prisoner. made any attempt to communicate with anybody?
None. Denson offices have been opened. His telephone tapped and his movements followed. Even the water pipes in his house have been under observation for Morse code signals.
You're certain?
Absolutely.
Then we may be sure that he has been alone in this adventure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please take your... Very well. Take the prisoner away. And be sure you explain carefully to him first the manner of his death. I'm sure he'll enjoy it.
Wait, at least you can let me die decently.
Take him away.
Stop, I have something to say, something to sell.
We make no bargains with traitors.
No, but listen. You think I haven't thought of this? I'm not a fool. I've left a letter.
To whom?
To the police. If I don't return tomorrow, it'll be open.
Mr. Bluff, the prisoner sent no letter. He's been strictly watched for months.
I left the letter before I came to Lambeth.
Then it can't contain no information of any value.
Oh, but it does. It's the combination of my safe.
Indeed? Has this man's safe been searched?
Yes.
What did it contain?
No information of importance, sir. An outline of our organization, the name of the house, nothing that can't be altered and covered before morning.
And did you investigate the inner compartment of the safe?
You hear what he says, did you?
He's trying to bluff. There is no inner compartment.
I hate to contradict you, but I'm really afraid you must have overlooked it.
And what did you say was in the compartment, if it does exist?
The names of every member of this society with their addresses, photographs, and fingerprints.
How did you say you contrived to get this information?
By doing a little detective work on my own.
But you've been watched.
True, the fingerprints of my watches adorn the first page of the collection.
That statement can be proved?
Certainly. The name of number 40, for example...
Stop! If you mention names here, you will certainly have no hope of mercy. Bring the prisoner to my office.
I think we got rid of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, take your partners for the next dance.
Well, that's one more week.
Prove that I know your gang from number 1 through number 25. You want me to prove that I know the others as well?
My lord, your story fills me with regret that you are not, in fact, a member of our society. Wit, courage, and industry are valuable in an association like ours. I fear I cannot persuade you. No, I suppose not.
Yes?
Ask the members kindly to proceed to the supper room. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll not conceal from you the seriousness of the situation. The prisoner has recited to me 25 names and addresses which were thought to be unknown except to their owners and to me. There has been great carelessness. Fingerprints have been obtained. He showed me some photographs of them. He tells me that the book of names and addresses is to be found in the inner compartment of his safe, together with certain letters and papers stolen from the houses of members, and several objects with fingerprints. I believe he tells the truth. He offers the combination of the safe in exchange for a quick death. I think his offer should be accepted. What is your opinion, ladies and gentlemen?
The combination is known already.
Fool! This man is Lord Peter Wimsey, a scientist of crime. Do you think he will have forgotten to change the combination?
Oh, I say give him the trouble. Time's getting short.
You agreed? It's a bargain, Wimsey. What is the combination?
The word of the combination is unreliability.
And the inner door, the inner compartment.
In anticipation of the visit of the police, the inner door is open.
Good. Number 12 and 36. You will go to the prisoner's house and...
Why should any more evidence?
That's right.
I agree. Nobody ought to be trusted.
Then what, ladies and gentlemen, do you suggest?
You go yourself. You're the only one that knows all the names. You go yourself.
I second that motion.
Is the wish of the meeting, then, that I should go?
No. I say no. No, don't go. Number 1 is our president, the head and soul of our society. If anything should happen to him, where should we be? You won't, London. We had your carelessness to thank for all this. Do you think we should be safe for 5 minutes if he were not here to repair your folly?
There's something in that.
If you will pardon my suggesting it, the lady appears to be in a position peculiarly favorable to the reception of the president's costume. The contents of my modest volume will be no news to her. Why should she not go herself?
Because I say she must not. If it is the will of the meeting, I'll go. Give me the key of the house.
Here.
Is your house watched?
No.
If I have not returned in 2 hours, act for the best to save yourself. And do what you like with the prisoner.
He's gone 2 hours. Traitor! What's happened to him?
How should I know? Perhaps he's looked after himself and gone while the going was good.
Liar! He'd never do that. What have you done with him? Speak, or I'll make you speak.
I can only form a guess, madam. I'm afraid that your president may quite inadvertently have left the door of the inner compartment closed behind him, in which case...
Yes.
Well, let me explain the mechanism of my mistake. The inner compartment has 2 doors. The outermost opens outward with an ordinary key.
Oh, do you think that the president is so stupid as to be caught in an obvious trap? Undoubtedly, he will have wedged open that inner door.
Undoubtedly, madam. But the sole purpose of that inner door is to appear to be the only one. Hidden behind the hinge of that door is another, sliding panel, also left open. Inside the compartment is the big, heavy ledger containing all the information about this society. This ledger lies on a steel shelf. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, go on.
The steel shelf is balanced on a concealed spring. When the weight of the book, the ledger, is lifted, the shelf rises almost imperceptibly. And in rising, it makes an electrical contact. Now, let me draw a picture. Your president steps into the inner compartment, sees the book, takes it up, anxiously to examine to see if it's the right one. The shelf rises, the electrical contact is made, and the steel panel behind him slides into place. He's trapped.
You devil! What is the word that opens the inner door? Quick, the word.
Do you remember the story of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves? Well, when I had this tape constructed, my mind went back, well, call me sentimental if you will, to my childhood. The words that open the door are open.
How long can a man live in this devil's trap of yours?
Oh, I shouldn't think he might hold out for a few hours if he didn't use up all the oxygen by hammering and yelling. I imagine if you go there at once, you'd be able to get him up all right.
I'll go myself.
I think you'd better take him.
Why?
Well, I'm the only person who can open the door.
But you've given me the word.
Yes, you have the word. But this door of mine, I'm rather proud of it. You know, it's my own invention. It's the latest thing. It will open the word open sesame all right. But to my voice only.
Your voice. I took your voice from my hands. What do you mean, your voice only?
Don't clutch my throat like that. You'll wreck my voice, and then the door might not recognize it. The door got stuck for a week once, and I had a cold.
What is this true? Is it possible?
Perfectly possible, madam. If you have a microphone arrangement, could be done also with light vibrations.
Oh, we must let him go. Take the ropes off him.
Let him go, nothing. He doesn't go to blab to the police. The president's done in, that's all. And we'd all better make traps while we can. It's all up, boys.
Right, chuck this fella down the cellar and fast him in. I'll go and destroy the ledgers. 32, you know where the switch is. Give us a quarter of an hour to clear, then you can blow the place to glory.
No. No, you can't leave. One, I. He's your president, your leader. I won't let it happen. I won't. I'll free this man myself.
Yeah, none of that.
Let me go. Let go of me.
Think, Blaster, think. It's been light in an hour or two. The police may be here at any moment.
No, we mustn't be telling us this involved. Just one man. He himself would not wish it. Throw this man in the cellar and let's get out of here while there's time.
Here. This is good enough. Leave him here. Right. Now let's go.
Hey, you chaps.
Yeah, I got you.
I say, there's loads down here in this cellar. You might at least leave the light on.
Don't worry about the dark. They're thinking you here as the time fuse for the bomb that's going to blow out this place. Go, Sid. You won't have long to wait. Not long.
Who is it? Who's there? Where did it listen to? My compliments, madam, on your loyalty to the president.
The house is mine. Follow me as far as you can. Number one must be saved. And only you can do it.
But how did you manage to...
Follow me. You will release him. You promise.
But I warn you, madam, that this house is around. When When my safe door closed, it gave a signal to Scotland Yard. All the members of the society are safe.
Never mind them. Here, outside. Quick.
Is that you, Inspector? Get your fellows away, quick. The house is going up in a minute. What's happened, Inspector?
Oh, about half a dozen of them got blown up. The rest we bagged.
Hurry, we must hurry.
Who's this?
One of the gang. It's called number 2.
We must save it.
Golly, I think we've got the gentleman in the safe. Where's your car?
Down the lane.
Send one of your men down to get it.
Right. Johnson, bring that car here.
I've got the number 1 of the whole company quietly asphyxiating me at home. I promise to get back to David. He's the bloke that we've been wanting. The man at the back of the Morrison case, the Wilson case, and hundreds of others.
Is this it? Quite a contraption.
Yes, I only hope he hasn't upset the adjustment by something like it.
Oh, please, hurry.
I hope you haven't heard my voice.
You sound all right.
I can only be conversation. Think, so is your David. Open sesame. Open sesame. Open sesame. Open sesame. Let me see. No, he's not. He'll live to stand his trial.
And so, all's right with the world, as it always is when Lord Peter Wimsey is involved. The Cave of Alibaba by Dorothy Sayers is the story which gave us tonight's Suspense. Suspense is produced by William Spear. Our guest director for this evening was Robert Louis Shea. Tonight's radio drama was written by Peter Lyon and scored by Bernard Herrmann. Romney Brent was Peter Wimsey, William Moulton played number 1, and Ira Gerald, the lady in the case. Others in the cast were Kathleen Cordell, Victor Beecroft, Roland Bottomley, J.W. Austin, William Podmore, Ian Martin, and William Moulton. Next Wednesday, Suspense will not be heard because of a special all-star Hollywood broadcast which Paramount Pictures will present. 2 weeks from tonight, at this time, Columbia will bring you another selected story from the world's great literature of thrills. Another study in suspense. This is Barry Kroger, and
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Columbia Network takes pleasure in bringing you Suspense. Suspense, Columbia's parade of outstanding thrillers, produced and directed by William Spear, and scored by Bernard Herrmann. The notable melodramas from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented each week to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles. Very happy I am to be back in the United States and back on the Columbia Network, even for so short a visit as this one. Back with old friends like Johnny Dietz, who's tonight's director, and Bernard Herrmann. Mercury Theater presented tonight's radio play for the first time last year. We came right out then and hailed it as a classic of the medium. Nobody argued the point. A lot of people asked us to do it again, so it's gratifying to get the chance now. And to find a favorite of ours in this distinguished anthology of spook shows. Personally, I've never met anybody who didn't like a good ghost story. But I know a lot of people who think there are a lot of people who don't like a good ghost story. For the benefit of these, at least, I go on record at the outset of this evening's entertainment with the sober assurance that although blood may be curdled on this program, none will be spilt. There's no shooting, knifing, throttling, axing, or poisoning here. No clanking chains, no cobwebs, no bony and/or hairy hands appearing from secret panels, or better yet, bedroom curtains. If it's any part of that dear old phosphorescent foolishness that people who don't like ghost stories don't like, then again, I promise you, we haven't got it. Not tonight. What we do have is a thriller. It's half as good as we think it is. You can call it a shocker. It's already been called a real Orson Welles story. Now, frankly, I don't know what this means. I've been on the air directing and acting in my own shows for quite a while now, and I don't suppose I've done more than half a dozen thrillers in all that time. Honestly, I don't think even that many, but it seems I do have a reputation for the uncanny. Quite possibly, a little escapade of mine involving a couple of planets, which shall be nameless, is responsible. Doesn't really matter. Don't think I disapprove of thrillers, I don't. A story doesn't have to appeal to the heart, it can also appeal to the spine. Sometimes you want your heart to be warmed, and sometimes you want your spine to tingle. The tingling, it's to be hoped, will be quite audible as you listen tonight to The Hitchhiker. That's the name of our story, The Hitchhiker. I'm in an auto camp on Route 66, just west of Gallup, New Mexico. If I tell her, perhaps it'll help me. Keep me from going crazy. I gotta tell this quickly. I'm not crazy now. I feel perfectly well, except that I'm running a slight temperature. My name is Ronald Adams. I'm 36 years of age, unmarried, tall, dark, with a black mustache. I drive a 1940 Buick, license number 6Y175189. I was born in Brooklyn. All this I know. I know that I'm at this moment perfectly sane. That it's not me who's gone mad. Something else. Something utterly beyond my control. I've got to speak quickly. At any minute, the link may break. This may be the last thing I ever tell on Earth. The last night I ever see the stars. 6 days ago, I left Brooklyn to drive to California.
Goodbye, son. Good luck to you, my boy.
Goodbye, Mother. Okay, give me a kiss, and I'll go.
I'll come out with you to the car.
Oh, no, it's raining. Stay here at the door. Hey, what's this? Tears? I thought you promised me you wouldn't cry.
I know, dear. I'm sorry. But I do hate to see you go.
You've always been on the coast 3 months.
Oh, it isn't that. It's just the trip. Ronald, I wish you weren't driving.
Oh, Mother, there you go again. People do it every day.
I know, but you'll be careful, won't you? Promise me you'll be extra careful. Don't fall asleep, or drive fast, or pick up any strangers on the road.
Oh, gosh. I think I was still 17 here, you told me.
Oh. And why? I mean, as soon as you get to Hollywood, won't you, son?
Of course I will. Don't you worry. There's nothing going to happen. It's 8 days of perfectly simple driving on smooth, decent, civilized roads. With a hot dog or a hamburger stand. I was in fine spirits. The drive ahead of me, even the loneliness, seemed like a lark. I reckoned without him. Crossing Brooklyn Bridge that morning in the rain, I saw a man leaning against the cables. He seemed to be waiting for a lift. There were spots of fresh rain on his shoulders. He was carrying a cheap overnight bag in one hand. He was thin, nondescript, with a cap pulled down over his eyes. I would have forgotten him completely, except that just an hour later, while crossing the Pulaski Skyway over the Jersey Flats, I saw him again. At least, he looked like the same person. He was standing now with one thumb pointing west. I couldn't figure out how he got there, but I thought probably one of those fast trucks had picked him up, beat me to the Skyway, and let him off. I didn't stop for him. Then late that night, I saw him again. It's on the new Pennsylvania Turnpike between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh. It's 265 miles long with a very high speed limit. I was just slowing down for one of the tunnels when I saw him, standing under an arc light by the side of the road. I'd seen quite distinctly the bag, the cap, even the spots of fresh rain spattered over his shoulders. He hallooed at me this time. Hello! Stepped on the gas like a shot. That's lonely country through the Alleghenies, and I had no intention of stopping. Besides, the coincidences, or whatever it was, gave it to Willie's. Stopped at the next gas station.
Yes, sir.
Fill her up.
Certainly, sir. Check your oil, sir?
No, thanks.
Nice night, isn't it?
Yes. It hasn't been raining here recently, has it?
Not a drop of rain all week.
Oh? Oh, I suppose that doesn't done your business any harm.
Oh, people drive through here all kinds of weather. Mostly business, you know. There aren't many pleasure cars out on the turnpike this season of the year.
I suppose not. What about hitchhikers?
Hitchhikers here?
What's the matter? Don't you ever see any?
Not much. If we did, it'd be a sight for sore eyes.
Why?
Oh, I'd be a fool who started out to hitch rides on this road. Look at it.
Then, you've never seen anybody?
No. Maybe they get the lift before the turnpike starts. I mean, you know, just before the toll house. But then it'd be a mighty long ride. Most cars wouldn't want to pick up a guy for that long a ride. And you know, this is pretty lonesome country here. Mountains and woods. You ain't seen anybody like that, have you?
No. Oh, no, not at all. I was just, a technical question.
I see. Well, that'll be just $1.49 with the tax.
Then gradually passed through my mind a sheer coincidence. I had a good night's sleep in Pittsburgh. I didn't think about the man all next day until just outside of Zanesville, Ohio, I saw him again. It was a bright, sunshiny afternoon. The peaceful Ohio fields, brown with the autumn stubble, lay dreaming in the golden light. I was driving slowly, drinking it in, when the road suddenly ended in a detour. In front of the barrier, he was standing. Now, let me explain about his appearance before I go on. I repeat, there was nothing sinister about him. He was as drab as a mud fence, nor was his attitude menacing. He merely stood there, waiting.
almost drooping a little, his cheap overnight bag in his hand. He looked as though he'd been waiting there for hours. And he looked up. He hailed me. He started to walk forward.
Hello! There's two people doing it.
Hello!
Do it with them so you can do it with me.
Hello! No, not just now. Sorry.
Going to
California? No, not today. The other way, going to New York. Sorry. After I got the car back on the road again, I felt like... Yet the thought of picking him up, of having him sit beside me, was somehow unbearable. At the same time, I felt, more than ever, unspeakably alone. Hour after hour went by. Fields, the towns ticked off one by one. The light changed. I knew now that I was going to see him again. And though I dreaded the sight, I caught myself searching the side of the road, waiting for him to appear.
Yeah, what is it? What do you want?
Sell sandwiches and pop here, don't you?
Yeah, we do in the daytime. We're closed up now for the
I know, but I was wondering if you could possibly have a cup of coffee, black coffee, just...
No, not this time of night, mister. My wife's a coffee season's bad.
Don't shut the door, please. Listen, just a minute ago... Just a minute ago, there was a man standing here right beside the stand, a suspicious-looking man. I don't mean to disturb you. You see, I was driving along when I just happened to look, and there he was.
How's he doing?
Well, nothing.
You've been taking a nip, that's what you've been doing. Now, on your way before I call out Sheriff Oates.
I got into the car again and drove on slowly. I was beginning to hate the car. If I could have found a place to stop, to rest a little. I was in the Ozark Mountains of Missouri now. A few resort places there were closed, only an occasional log cabin, seemingly deserted. That's all that broke the monotony of the wild, wooded landscape. I had seen him at that roadside stand. I knew I'd see him again. Maybe at the next turn of the road. I knew that when I saw him next, I would run him down. I didn't see him again. I didn't see him until late next afternoon. I stopped the car at a sleepy little junction just across the border into Oklahoma to let a train pass by. When he appeared across the tracks, leaning against a telephone pole. A perfectly airless, dry day. The red clay of Oklahoma was baking under the southwestern sun. Yet there were spots of fresh rain on his shoulders. I couldn't stand there. Without thinking, blindly, I started the car across the tracks. He didn't look up at me. He was staring at the ground. I stepped on the gas hard, veering the wheel sharply toward him. I could hear the train in the distance now, but I didn't care. Something went wrong with the car. The train was coming closer. I could hear its bell ringing and the cry of its whistle. Still, he stood there. And now I knew that he was beckoning me to my death. Frustrated him that time. The starter worked at last. I managed to back up. When the train passed, he was gone. I was all alone in the hot, dry afternoon. After that, I knew I had to do something. I didn't know who this man was, or what he wanted of me. I only knew that from now on, I mustn't let myself alone on the road for 1 minute. Hello there. Like a ride?
Well, what do you think? How far are you going?
Where do you want to go?
Amarillo, Texas.
I'll drive you there.
Gee. Do you mind if I take off my shoes? My dog would kill it.
Go right ahead.
Oh. Gee, what a break
You
this is.
hitchhike much?
Sure, only it's tough sometimes in these great open spaces to get the break.
I should think it would be, though. I'll bet you get a good pickup in a fast car. If you did, you could get places faster than, say, another person in another car, couldn't you?
I don't get you.
Well, take me, for instance. Suppose I'm driving across the country, say, at a nice, steady clip, about 45 miles an hour. Couldn't a girl like you just standing beside the road waiting for Liz beat me to town, or any town, provided she got picked up every time in a car doing from 65 to 70 miles an hour?
I don't know. What difference does it make?
Oh, no difference. It's just a crazy idea I had sitting here in the car.
Imagine spending your time in a swell car thinking of things like that.
What would you do instead?
What would I do? If I was a good-looking fella like yourself, why, I just enjoy myself every minute of the time. I'd sit back and relax. And if I saw a good-looking girl along the side of the road, hey, look out!
Did you see him?
See who?
A man standing beside the barbed wire fence.
I didn't see anybody. It wasn't nothing but a bunch of cows and a wire fence.
No?
What do you think you were doing? Trying to run into the barbed wire
Man
fence?
there, I tell you, a thin gray man with an overnight bag in his hand. And I was trying to run him down.
Run him down? Kill him?
You say you didn't see him back there? You sure?
I didn't see a soul. As far as
Watch
that's concerned.
for him the next time and keep watching. Keep your eyes peeled on the road. He'll turn up again. Maybe any minute. There! Look there!
How does this door work? I'm getting out of
See him
here.
that time?
No, I didn't see him that time. And personally, mister, I don't expect never to see him. All I want to do is go on living. I don't see how I will very long, driving with you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me, but please don't go.
So if you'll excuse me...
You can't go. Listen, how would you like to go to California? I'll drive you to California.
Seeing pink elephants all the way? No, thanks. Thanks just the same.
Listen, please, just 1 minute, please.
You know what I think you need, big boy? Not a girlfriend. Just a good dose of sweet...
Please.
There. I got it now.
No, you can't go. Please.
Leave your hands off me. Do you hear? Leave your hands off me.
She ran from me. As though I were a monster. A few minutes later, I saw a passing truck pick her up. And I knew then that I was utterly alone. In the heart of the great Texas prairies, there wasn't a car on the road after the truck went by. I tried to figure out what to do, how to get hold of myself. If I could find a place to rest, or even if I could sleep right here in the car for a few hours along the side of the road. I was getting my winter overcoat out of the back seat to use as a blanket when I saw him coming toward me, emerging from the herd of moving steer.
Hello?
Maybe I should have spoken to him then. Fought it out then and there. But for now, he began to be everywhere. Wherever I stopped, even for a moment, for gas, for oil, for a drink of pop, a cup of coffee, a sandwich, he was there. I saw him standing outside the auto camp in Amarillo that night when I dared to slow down. He was sitting near the drinking fountain of a little camping spot just inside the border of New Mexico. He was waiting for me outside the Navajo reservation where I stopped to check my tires. I saw him in Albuquerque when I bought 20 gallons of gas. I was afraid to stop. I began to drive faster and faster. I was in Luna.
inner landscape now. The great arid mesa country of New Mexico. I drove through it with the indifference of a fly crawling over the face of the moon. Now he didn't even wait for me to stop. Unless I drove at 85 miles an hour over those endless roads, he waited for me at every other mile. I'd see his figure, shadowless, flitting before me, still in its same attitude, over the cold, lifeless ground, flitting over dried-up rivers, over broken stones cast up by old glacial upheavals, flitting in that pure, cloudless air. I was beside myself when I finally reached Gallup, New Mexico this morning. There's an auto camp here. Cold, almost deserted this time of year. I went inside and asked if there was a telephone. I had the feeling that if only I could speak to someone familiar, someone I loved, I could pull myself together.
Your call, please.
Long distance.
Long distance, certainly. This is long distance.
I'd like to put in a call to my home in Brooklyn, New York. I'm Ronald Adams. The number is Beechwood 200828.
Certainly, I will try to get it for you. Albuquerque, New York for Gallup. New York. Gallup, New Mexico, calling Beechwood 20828.
I read somewhere that love could banish demons. It was the middle of the morning. I knew Mother'd be home. I pictured her tall and white-haired in her crisp house dress, going about her tasks. Enough, I thought, just to hear the even calmness of her voice.
Will you please deposit $3.85 for the first 3 minutes? When you have deposited $1.50, will you wait until I have collected the money? All right, deposit another $1.50. Will you please deposit the remaining 85 cents? Ready with Brooklyn. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
This is Adams' residence.
Hello, Mother?
This is Mrs. Adams' residence. Who is it you wish to speak to, please?
What? Who's this?
This is Mrs. Winnie.
Mrs. Winnie? I don't know any Mrs. Winnie. Is this Beechwood 20828?
Yes?
Where's my mother? Where's Mrs. Adams?
Mrs. Adams is not at home. She's still in the hospital.
The hospital?
Yes. Who is this calling, please? Is it a member of the family?
Well, what's she in the hospital for?
She's been prostrated for 5 days. Nervous breakdown. But who is this
Nervous
calling?
breakdown? Well, my mother never was nervous.
It's all taken place since the death of her oldest son, Ronald.
Death of her oldest son, Ronald? Hey, what's this? What number is this?
This is Beechwood 20828. It's all been very sudden. He was killed just 6 days ago in an automobile accident on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Your 3 minutes are up, sir. Your 3 minutes are up, sir. Your 3 minutes are
You
up.
gotta pay $4 for a collect call after you die.
So I'm sitting here in this deserted auto camp in Gallup, New Mexico. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to get hold of myself. Otherwise, I'm going to go crazy. Outside, it's night. The vast soulless night of New Mexico. 1,000,000 stars are in the sky. Ahead of me stretch 1,000 miles of empty mesa, mountains, prairies, desert. Somewhere among them, he's waiting for me. Somewhere I shall know who he is and who I am.
So ends The Hitchhiker, and to Orson Welles our considerable thanks for his playing of the title role. Mr. Welles,
Help wanted. Men, women, and children. Nature of work, hard, monotonous, back-breaking labor. Hours, 75 a week minimum. Pay, few cents an hour. Added inducement, 2 meals a day, including several ounces of bad bread and a cup of thin soup. Don't delay, apply at once. How'd you respond to a want ad like that, Mr. and Mrs. American working man and woman? You'd laugh, wouldn't you, and throw the paper in the trash basket? Dismiss the whole advertisement as some kind of a joke, but believe me, it's no joke. It's a simple statement of the working conditions that exist today in Nazi Germany and the conquered countries under Nazi rule. It's also an exact statement of the working conditions that will be imposed on you and every member of your family if the Nazis win this war. You yourself personally can stop them from winning, as you know. You don't have to give up your well-paid job to do it. You needn't have to be a soldier or a sailor or an airman or a nurse or a war worker to ensure American victory. Uncle Sam doesn't ask plain, ordinary, hard-working citizens like you to give him anything. All he does ask very seriously and very urgently is that you loan him 10 cents out of every dollar you make. That's all there is to it. Lend Uncle Sam a dime to win this war. He'll pay you back with interest when he's won it. The easiest, most convenient way to lend him these dimes is to enroll in the payroll savings plan. Just tell your boss to deduct 10 cents from every dollar he pays you and lend it to Uncle Sam in your name. Sign up for this simple savings plan today, and when victory comes, you'll have war bonds in your pockets instead of Axis bonds on your wrists.
Suspense will be heard again 2 weeks from tonight. Next Wednesday night, September 9th, the Columbia Broadcasting System will present over many of these stations at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Wartime an address by W. Averell Harriman, the United States Lend-Lease Administrator in London. Mr. Harriman, as the personal representative of the President of the United States, attended the Moscow conferences between Winston Churchill and Joseph Stalin. Next Wednesday's broadcast will be Mr. Harriman's first public address since his return to this country. Suspense is produced and directed by William Spear. John Dietz was our guest director this evening. Tonight's radio drama was written by Lucille Fletcher. The original score was by Bernard Herrmann. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Will you give a few seconds of your time to help win this war? Then listen. At Stalingrad the other day, a Nazi tank unit attacked a corps of Russian soldiers. The Russians tried to stop the tanks and fought until their guns were silenced. Then did they surrender? Did they retreat? No. 18 of them rushed forward with bombs in their hands, got under the tanks and blew them up. They gave their lives for their country. You and I are not asked to give our lives for ours. All we're asked to do is buy war bonds and stamps. Our American soldiers are giving their lives for us each day. More and more of them every day. Can we do less than loan our money to them? It's such a simple, easy thing to do. Out of every dollar you earn, lend 1 dime to your country. Do it regularly by joining the 10% club where you work. And do it now. Our soldiers need your help.
Network takes pleasure in bringing you Suspense. Suspense, Columbia's parade of outstanding thrillers, produced by William Spear and scored by Bernard Herrmann. The notable melodramas from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented each week to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you suspense. Tonight's story deals with a remote and dangerous house. The terrifying thing that happened there because the rain went on for days and days. It deals with a surgeon and a girl, a giant, and a young man who took a long chance. And over them all, the moan of the night wind, the ceaseless roar of the storm. For your suspenseful listening, we invite you to learn about Kepler method. Days of rain they've been, ceaseless, teeming, pouring with a steady, relentless rhythm. 4 solid days. The fields around Culston had been turned into huge puddles that reflected the heavy, swollen sky. Dr. Morrissey was stirred by a deep anxiety. He stood beside a window in his sanitarium, which rose high on a lonely hill, a few miles from the little town of Culston. Stared into the jagged, spraying screen of rain. It was just 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock of an afternoon he would long remember. He was on the point of sending for Caffrey, the ward attendant, when the door opened, and Caffrey came in, pale, disturbed.
Dr. Morrissey.
Is there anything wrong, Caffrey?
I don't know. There's a feeling down in the ward.
Feeling?
This rain's going on too long.
Patients getting uneasy?
They're bound to, ain't they? A guy with good nerves, he gets jumpy. You can imagine what it does to theirs.
Seem to be affecting anyone in particular?
Number 5's been carrying on.
Kettler?
Yeah. I brought him up. Nurse Carter's waiting with him out in the hall.
Bad as that?
He's upsetting the others. Keeps asking for some guy named Benham.
That's the man he killed.
I didn't know he was homicidal.
Oh, it was an accident. He was performing a brain surgery on Benham, and
him?
Kettler was a very important surgeon, Caffrey. Didn't you know that?
He keeps saying so, but
it's perfectly true. Very successful Dr. Kettler was, until he perfected an operative procedure that he called the Kettler method. A new process of brain operation. Spent most of his life on it, and, well, when he tried it for the first time on this young lad Benham, and Benham died on the table, it unbalanced his mind.
I gotta go back down there now.
I think you'd better wait while I talk with Kettler.
Okay, I'll bring him in. But don't make it long. I don't like the feel of things around here. Nurse, Miss Carter.
Yes, we're coming.
You can bring him in now.
Come along. Dr. Morrissey wants to see you.
Does he?
Come in, Kettler.
I'd like to ask Dr. Morrissey a question. I'd like to ask him a question.
Yes, Dr. Kettler.
I should like to ask him where Laird Benham is. I know he'll never tell me.
But I will, Kettler. Laird Benham is buried somewhere out there under the rain. He is at peace, Kettler. Can't you forget about him? Just forget.
You'd all right to forget about him, wouldn't you? Then you could keep him hidden away forever, couldn't you?
Benham is dead, Kettler. You know that. Benham died.
He did not. He's alive. He was alive when you and the rest of the envious medical profession stole him from the operating table. Kidnapped him with my bandages still around his head. You were determined to make the Kettler method seem a failure, weren't you? Weren't you?
Easy now.
Believe me, Kettler.
Laird Benham died. He is now, Dr. Morrissey. He's in the cellar under the ward downstairs, isn't he? Isn't he?
Kettler.
There.
Oh, You'd better take him down, Henry.
All right. Come along now, sir. I'll take him, nurse.
You are sure? Even though it would make me well again.
My cellars are empty, Kettler. Believe me, venom isn't there.
You sit there in power and order me away.
Come on, Kettler.
There's something I have to say. I've always been above violence, Dr. Morrissey. But the time comes when there's no other course. This is a warning, Doctor. A warning. And the joke is that you won't heed it.
Come on with you.
You won't heed it now. But you'll remember it. And soon you'll remember it. Tables turn, Dr. Morrissey. Tables turn.
Poor thing.
I'm afraid I'm failing with him. Failing completely.
But you're not. It takes time to put a man back together.
Oh, it's taken me too long with Kettler. I'm beginning to be afraid.
If you'll pardon me, Doctor.
Yes?
I do think you're making a mistake.
With him?
No, with yourself. You haven't had a real vacation in 3 years, Dr. Morrissey.
Oh, you think I'm wearing a bit thin just now, don't you? And you're right. But I really can't leave my patients in anyone else's hands. Not now, at any rate. No, I'll have to make the best of it.
But you need relaxation.
I know. Well, I hope to soothe my ragged nerves somewhat over this weekend. I've some friends coming down from the city Friday night. Leslie and Claire with me. Young married couple, beautiful. I'm just going to relax with them and forget everything until Monday morning.
You must, Doctor. You really did so badly. Oh, by the way, Doctor, I slipped some of those new satin bandages into your coat pocket.
Thanks. I'll have a look at them.
I think they're quite good. The salesman said that...
Yes, nurse. What is it?
Did you hear something?
Thunder, wasn't it?
Something else besides thunder. I thought...
Well, I didn't hear it.
My nerves must be getting the best of me. Perhaps it's a case of nurse heal thyself, eh?
I'm not the only one who needs a rest. You know, it might be a very good idea if we both...
Dr. Morrissey.
I heard that.
What is it?
It's coming from the ward. Sounds like... That was a shot, nurse. You get on the phone. Call the police at Coast.
Hello?
Keep at it.
Hello?
Someone's trying to get in from the hall.
Dr. Morrissey!
Jeffrey, just a moment. Jeffrey, what is it?
Ganged up on me. All of them coming up the stairs. Kettler, clear out of here. Oh.
Steady, nurse.
He's dead, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
Dr. Morrissey.
Kettler.
Remember my warning. Remember it, Doctor. Tables turn, Dr. Morrissey. Tables turn.
Friday night came, black, wet, glistening. The 8:15 express groaned into Colston Station, bringing Leslie and Claire Winton out from the city with their weekend luggage.
Isn't Dr. Morrison sending his car for us, Leslie?
Yes, Claire. The chauffeur was supposed to drive us over to the sanitarium to pick up the doc, and then we're all going over to his house together.
Well, I don't see any car, do you?
I don't see anything but water. Maybe we're rowing over in a skiff.
Oh, I hate that sound. Like somebody's in agony.
I think you're a little depressed here.
Well, I shouldn't be surprised. My head's still aching dreadfully.
Poor lover. How long's that been going on now?
Almost a week. It frightens me.
I don't think it's anything serious.
Waiting in the rain like this doesn't do it any good, I'm sure.
I don't understand. Docs usually so punctual. Right on the dot. You don't suppose we ought to call the sanitarium?
You people, or Dr. Morrissey, yes?
Well, yes, we're the Wintons. Doc sent you to pick us up?
Aye, Cato. Dr. Morrissey's chauffeur. You got luggage?
Yes.
Here it is.
I take. You follow me to car. Come.
We're coming.
Leslie,
Yes?
he's tremendous, isn't he? He must be 6.5 feet tall.
I'm over 6 myself, darling. He's nearer 8. That's a giant. Get those shoulders. He could snap me in two like a matchstick.
Well, I hope he likes us.
So do I, light of my life.
Waiting. You come, please.
But I really don't think he does. Coming.
The heavy car lurched and hurtled over the rain-soaked roads, tearing wildly through the dark, careening up the hillside toward the stark walls of the sanitarium. It skidded to a standstill in front of the main entrance. The cold, black Cato had led them inside. The brightly lit corridors were deserted, silent, like hallways in a nightmare. Claire was aware of her headache growing steadily worse as Cato opened the double doors and ushered them into the waiting room.
You'll tell Dr. Morrissey we're here, huh?
Doctor, be with you soon. You do not go away.
Yes, thanks.
I hope we're not staying in here very long.
It isn't very cheery, is it?
I don't like places like this. I suppose it's very foolish of me, but I always feel as if I'm in some sort of danger.
That's the headache again. Everything seems worse than it really is when you're not feeling well. Don't you always find...
Leslie.
Yeah?
Listen. What is it?
Somebody's knocking. Just a moment.
Gracias a Dios.
Who is it, Leslie?
I don't know.
What, you do not know me? I am Arturo Alvarez, the South American pianist. You have heard of me?
Sure, I've heard of Arturo Alvarez, but I hardly expect to find him.
Leslie, humor him.
Oh, of course, for a moment I forgot where I was. I've heard of you, Mr. Alvarez. Is there anything I can do for you?
Will you help me? I must get out of this place.
Oh, sure.
I came here several days ago to be treated for a mild nervous trouble. And now they won't let me go. I am being held a prisoner. And tonight I am scheduled to give a concert at Carnegie Hall, and I must get out of here. Please, will you help me?
Number 10 out of the ward again, I see. How many times must I tell you that is strictly against the rules?
I was doing nothing wrong. I was only telling this gentleman that I must be at Carnegie Hall for my concert.
Yes. I'm sure the gentleman was very interested. Cato.
Yes, Doctor.
Cato, you will escort number 10 back to the ward. See to it that he doesn't wander back into the waiting room.
No, I will not be taken back to the ward. Help me. Help me, no.
How strongly he believes in his delusion. Strange fantasy of the diseased mind. Seriously believes that he's Arturo Alvarez.
He was telling me.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I'm afraid I haven't been very cordial. Won't you sit down? Is there anything I can do for you?
Well, you see, Dr. Morrissey invited us up for the weekend.
Oh, yes, of course. He told me he was expecting you.
Does he know we're here?
I'm afraid not. Dr. Morrissey was unexpectedly called away on an emergency case, and I'm in charge of the sanitarium until he returns.
Do you have any idea about when that'll be?
It's very hard to say. However, he asked me to ask you to wait and see to it that you're made comfortable. Now, your name is...
Winton, Leslie Winton. And this is my wife, Claire.
Yes. Permit me to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Kettler, Dr. Morrissey's assistant. What can I do for you? A bite of food or a drink, perhaps?
I don't think so.
There's nothing in the world I want so much as an aspirin.
Aspirin?
Yes, Doctor. She's had a headache that's been troubling her for days. It's terribly annoying.
I can well imagine. Annoying and interesting. That is to a man of my profession, of course. But if you will step into the inner office, I think I can offer you something a good deal more effective.
Oh, I'd hate to trouble you.
No trouble at all. I find these things most intriguing.
Should I, Leslie?
I think you might as well. Morrissey won't be back for a long time by the looks of things.
You're quite right, Mr. Winton. Dr. Morrissey won't be back for a long, long time.
Well, then, which way do I go?
Right this way, the large door on your left.
You won't mind waiting alone, will you, darling?
Oh, Mr. Winton shall make himself comfortable. There are cigarettes in the box, whiskey in the liquor cabinet, and a radio behind the ferns there. I'm sure he will be quite happy. After you, Mrs. Winton.
If Dr. Morrissey comes in, let me know.
I hope you'll find everything you want, sir.
Thanks. By the way, Doctor.
Yes?
You said you had something better than aspirin. I didn't know there was anything better than aspirin for a headache.
I have something, Mr. Winton.
Really?
It is a process which I invented myself. One that never fails. A little treatment, very effective, highly complicated, called the Kettler method. Please make yourself at home, Mr. Winton. Leslie sat there, alone in the big waiting room for a while. Then creeps began setting in, and he thought to himself,
Maybe I'll have that drink after all.
He rose, went over to the liquor cabinet that Kettler had pointed out to him, and opened it.
Why, there's nothing in here but books.
Yes, books. Books that were so thick with dust that it was clear they'd been there for months. No drink for Leslie. Maybe a cigarette. Kettler said the box was full. He picked it up and started opening it.
Why, it isn't even a cigarette box. The darn thing's a bookend.
Yes, that's just what it was. Leslie began to think it was a tough job making himself at home in that waiting room. And then the idea occurred to him.
Maybe the radio works.
He went over to the radio then. Turned it on and...
We are sorry to announce that the program scheduled for this time from Carnegie Hall has been cancelled due to the mysterious disappearance of Arturo Alvarez, the noted South American pianist. Mr. Alvarez was known to be suffering from a minor nervous disorder and was last seen departing on a short trip to Colston in upstate New York.
Alvarez. That guy is Alvarez. What's going on here? Claire! Claire! Locked. Dr. Kettler, open this door. Open it. Do you hear me?
Miss
Claire!
Winton.
You. Tell him to open up. Tell him. Tell him.
Doctor sent me tell you young lady headache bad. Very bad.
What do you mean?
He operate.
Operate?
He say take long time. He say you not wait. You come back tomorrow.
Operate? No. Kettler! Kettler! Claire, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Of course she can hear you, Mr. Winton. The operating table is just inside the door.
Bring her out here. Let her go, I tell you, Kettler.
But I find that an operation is indicated, Mr. Winton.
I forbid you to touch her.
You forbid? You? I'm in charge here. No one forbids me. You understand?
You're insane. If you lay your hands on her, I'll kill you. So help me, I'll kill you.
Very well, Mr. Winton. You do not wish me to operate. That's all there is to it. I would scarcely force my services upon you. However, the girl's condition is quite serious, and I... Good work. Good work, Cato, my boy. A master stroke. Do you still forbid me, Mr. Winton? Do you? Do you? Oh, you don't answer. Good. Take him to the cellar, Cato, and lodge him there with his friend, Dr. Morrissey. They should have a good deal to talk over in the still hours of the night while I cure the young lady's headache unmolested. You've got to pull yourself together, Leslie. Now try. Try to think. Cato brought you down a few moments ago. You were hit in the head. Can you remember?
Yes, I was talking to Kettler, trying to make him let Claire go. Claire? Oh, good Lord, Morris.
Where is she?
He's got her.
Kettler?
She's on that operating table up there. We've got to do something. We've got to do something.
Well, I'm afraid there's not much we can do. I've been here for 3 days and nights.
What happened?
It was a nightmare come to life. I'd had Kettler in my office for treatment here. He was off on a wild tangent, insisting that I had a man whom he had killed hidden down here on the cellar. That I and the rest of the medical profession had kidnapped him off the operating table with his head still swaying. Since I've been keeping this venom from him all along.
even though I know that just one side of him would cure his mental disorders. He's me with every fiber of his twisted brain. It's a dangerous case, Leslie. He'll kill Claire? He may. There's no chance he won't. What's that? All the surgical instruments are locked away. Hospital may not be able to find it.
Isn't there any way we can get out of here? Where does that corridor lead us?
With the staircase that goes to the first floor. Well, not a chance. It comes out in the operating room, and they keep that door locked as tight as a drum. Besides, Kettler still has the pistol he took from my nurse.
I've got to think. I've got to. My head hurts so I can't make good sense.
Let's say that. I think they gave you a nasty cut.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Say, Doc.
Yes?
What was his name? Who? The guy Kettler thought you were keeping from him. The one he killed.
Benham. Ed Benham. Why?
Was he a young fellow?
Yes. Rather tall, slender chap.
Say, Doc. You have any bandages down here?
What?
Bandages.
Why, yes, I think so. There's two of them.
Enough to bandage my whole head, face, and everything?
Why?
I might have a chance of getting through that door up there.
Oh, let me go. Leslie! Leslie!
You will be better soon. Much better. I will take the pain away, Mrs. Winton. Tato, have you found the surgical case?
Not found yet. I look. Cato, look.
Find it. We must not keep Mrs. Winton in agony. Find it, I say. I'll have to create some order in this place. I want my instruments at hand on a moment's notice.
Please, let me go. Oh, let me go.
You shall be well again, my dear. I promise you shall.
Doctor, here, tall, white cabinet behind the curtain.
That's it. Open it, Tato.
Locked. Locked, Doctor.
Smash it open, open it.
I do.
You'll find scalpels on the top tray. Bring them to me.
Yes, Doctor. It's here, Doctor. See, knives. Good. Sharp knives. Cato find them.
Excellent. How they glitter. It's good to feel the knife in my hand again. Put the others right beside my pistol here on the table.
Please. Oh, please.
There, my girl. I shall expend all my genius on you. You shall be well.
No. No. No.
What was that? Who's there?
Dr. Kettler,
Who is it?
I have found my way back to you. Open the door, Dr. Kettler. I've come back again.
Who are you?
You remember? You remember Laird Benham?
Cato! Cato!
Yes, Doctor.
The door! Let him in! He's come back! Let him in, I say! Doctor.
Oh, let me out of here.
He's come back, Cato. Benham, I knew it. I knew it all along. You're alive. You're living. You're living.
Yes, Dr. Kettler.
You. Just as they took you to the table.
Yes. They took me away before the operation was complete. Finish it now. Hurry. I can't live much longer. I'm about to...
No. Cato, get Benham onto the table.
Girl, on the table.
Take her out of here. Put her in the cellar. Let Benham take a place. At once, you hear?
Yes, Doctor. Cato.
No. No, I won't be put in the cellar. I won't.
It might be well if you went down into the cellar, you know. It's nice down there. You'll see old friends, perhaps. Old friends who need help.
Hurry, I say.
Yes, Doctor. Come.
Are you coming?
Are you all right, Benham?
Cato, close door.
No, stop wasting time. Leave the door alone. Help me. Help me get Benham on the table.
Yes, Doctor. Cato, do.
That's right. Listen carefully. Good. Now, lie back. Lie back. Gently. All right. Careful now. There we are. Cato, give me the knife.
Yes, Doctor.
Take off the bandages. From the top, Cato. That's correct. That's a proper procedure. There. Yeah, now I thought his hair was blonde, not black. Well, perhaps I've forgotten. I've forgotten so many things that there was a scar on his forehead. I clearly remember a scar on his forehead. Maybe I imagined that too. Perhaps it was someone else with brown eyes. Venom. Venom, didn't you have blue eyes? I know they were blue. And your nose. Your nose was thinner and longer. Yes. Yeah. And your lips. You had thick lips. That I know.
Bandages off, Doctor.
Dr. Kettler, there's a trick here. You're not Venom. You're not Venom. You're that young Mr. Winter. Dr. Kettler, listen to me. Cheat. Cheat. So you wanted me to finish you, did you? Yes. Well, then I will. I will. Hold him, Cato. Hold him. See the knife, Mr. Winton? Watch it glisten as it comes down, 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 and into you.
That's a marvelous old instrument you have, Doc. It was my mother's. This old house has been in the family for generations.
Who'd ever thought we'd be alive to sit in your house and listen to somebody play a concerto?
We wouldn't have been. At least I wouldn't have been if you hadn't snatched that revolver off the table right out from under Kettler's nose before they threw you into the cellar. That was the lifesaver. Made the weekend perfect.
I'm afraid it wasn't very restful.
Hereafter, I'm spending all weekend in a cozy little corner under the L.
It was worse for Claire than anybody. She had a dreadful time.
It was ghastly, all right. Horrible. But you know something?
What?
My headache. It's completely gone.
So ends the Kettler method, the tale of a memorable weekend and a long-awaited dead man who didn't return after all. This was tonight's story of suspense. Suspense is produced by William Spear. John Dietz was our director this evening. Tonight's radio drama was written by Peter Barry and scored by Bernard Herrmann. Roger DeKoven was Dr. Kettler, John Gibson, Leslie Winton, and Gloria Stewart played Claire Winton. Others in the cast were Guy Rep, Martha Faulkner, Winfield Honey, and Ralph Smiley. Next week at this time, Columbia will bring you another selected story from the world's great literature of thrills. Another study in suspense. This is Barry Kroger, and this is the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Columbia Network takes pleasure in bringing you Suspense. Suspense. Columbia's parade of outstanding thrillers, produced by William Spear and scored by Bernard Herrmann. Notable melodramas from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented each week to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense.
Tonight's story, by the noted American author T.S. Stribling, deals with the crime of murder on an exotic and atmospheric island, with ragged beggars who slept in a Hindu temple and awoke with gold in their pockets, and a dead girl lying near them, and with a strange and mystical entrance into the life of hereafter, which was the experience of an American psychologist. For your suspenseful listening, we invite you to join us for A Passage to Benares. In Port of Spain, in Trinidad, at 5:30 in the morning, Mr. Henry Poggioli, an American psychologist, stirred uneasily, became conscious of a splitting headache, opened his eyes in bewilderment, and then, with a shock, saw where he was. He got up, arranged his clothing. He tried with his neat psychological mind to recapture his dream, to bottle up again the little smoking wisps that still floated about within his aching head. By 7 o'clock, he had found his way back to the house of Mr. Lowe, his host in Port of Spain. Lowe was already about his coffee, with an interested spoon poised above the morning paper.
Ah, there you are. Good morning, Poggioli. I say, you're quiet. Didn't hear you get up at all. Have some breakfast?
Oh, thanks. I've been out for a breath of air. What's the news today?
Well, the new governor will arrive in Trinidad on the 12th, and, hello. Another native's killed his wife. Tell me, Poggioli, as a psychologist, why do coolies kill their wives?
Oh, for various reasons, I imagine. Let's hear some of the facts.
Ah, I say, this is a coincidence. Really putting on a show for you, Poggioli, on your first visit to Trinidad.
How so?
Well, you remember that wedding procession you and I watched last evening down at the Hindu temple?
The temple? Oh, of course. The cream-colored little bride with the breastplates and the linked gold coins and the anklets and all the finery. Mm-hmm. And the bridegroom. What'd you say his name was? Budman Lal?
Yes. Well, do you know what's happened? Budman Lal is in jail this morning, and his cream-colored little bride is dead, with her throat cut.
No. Do they think he did it?
No doubt of it. That's why he's in jail now. He always seemed like a sensible fellow, too. One of our best patrons, which only proves my contention, Poggioli. A bridegroom of only 6 or 8 hours killing his wife without any reason at all.
Oh, there's usually some reason for murder.
Maybe. But I say, old boy, you're missing the point completely.
How?
Well, suppose you actually had gone and slept in the temple there last night. You wanted to, you know, remember? And I said, no white man ever stays all night in a coolie temple. You remember?
Yes, I remember. You said it simply isn't done.
Well, if you had, Poggioli, I say, that would have been a pretty kettle, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm afraid I'll be mixed up in this. Both Mr. Lal and his uncle Hiradas are clients of mine. Old Hiradas has upwards of $5 million in my bank.
Hiradas? Didn't you tell me he built that temple where the murder took place?
Yes. It's what the Hindus call a temple and rest house. Hiradas gives rice and tea to any traveler who comes in for the night. It's an Indian custom to help mendicant pilgrims. A rich Indian will build a temple and rest house just as you Americans erect libraries.
Ah. What does it say there about the murder, though?
Budman Lal, nephew of the famous Mr. Hiradas, was arrested early this morning at his home for the alleged murder of his wife, whom he married yesterday. The body was found at 6 o'clock this morning in the temple where the wedding ceremony took place. The temple attendants gave the alarm. The victim's head was severed completely from her body, and all her jewelry was gone. 5 coolie beggars who were asleep in the temple when the body was discovered were arrested. They all claimed ignorance of the crime, but a search of their persons revealed that each beggar had a piece of the bride's jewelry and a coin from her necklace. Mr. Budman Lal and his wife were seen to enter the temple at about 11 last night for the Hindu rite of purification. Mr. Lal, who is a prominent curio dealer, declines to say anything further.
Doesn't tell you very much, does it?
Ah, not much.
What do you make of those beggars?
Oh, that's simple enough. Those devils laid in wait inside the temple until the husband went out and left his wife. Then they murdered her and divided the spoil.
Ah, but she had enough bangles and gewgaws to give a dozen to each man.
Yes, you're quite right, Pajoli. That's a fact.
Why should they continue sleeping in the temple after they'd killed her if they did murder her?
Well, why shouldn't they? They knew they'd be suspected, and they couldn't get off the island without capture, so they thought might as well lie down again and go back to sleep.
You may be right, Lo, but that doesn't look like the solution to me.
Well, I'm satisfied that's how it occurred.
You mean the beggars killed her? Well, I don't think so. I rather fancy that the actual murderer took the girl's jewelry and went about the temple thrusting a bangle and a coin in the pockets of each of the sleeping beggars to lay a false scent.
Oh, come now. That's laying it on a bit too thick, Pajoli.
My dear Lo, that's the only possible explanation for the coins in the beggars' pockets.
I say, oh boy, you've had lots of experience in these things. Come along with me, and we'll go up and see Mr. Hiram Daz and see if we can't help his nephew.
I'll be glad to. But we'll go to the temple first. Then we'll call on Mr. Hiradas.
Well, here we are. In spite of the police guard at the door, the temple doesn't look sinister in the daylight.
No, it just looks dirty. Let's go in and question the beggars. Excuse me, did any of you fellows hear noises in this temple last night?
Oh, much sleep, Sahib. No noise. Policeman punch us wake this morning. Makes it still here.
What's your name?
Shuda Chan, Sahib.
When did you go to sleep last night?
When I ate rice and tea, Sahib.
Do you remember seeing Budman Lal and his wife enter this building last night?
Yes, remember, Sahib.
Did you see them go out?
No, Sahib. No one remember go out.
You were all asleep then, huh?
All asleep, Sahib.
Did you have any dreams during your sleep? Hear any noises?
I dream bad dreams, Sahib.
Huh?
When policeman punched me wake this morning, I think dream is come true.
And me, Sahib. You all have bad dreams?
Yes, all have bad dreams.
Look here, Pajoli. I don't see where this is getting us. I do think we ought to be getting on to old Haradaz's house.
No, I think we can now entirely discard the theory that the beggars murdered the girls.
On what grounds? They told you nothing except that they all had bad dreams.
That's the reason. They all had wild, fantastic dreams. That suggests that they were given some sort of opiate in their rice or tea last night. It's quite improbable that 5 ignorant coolies would have wit enough to concoct such a piece of evidence as that.
That's a fact, but I don't believe a Trinidad court would admit such evidence.
We're not looking for legal evidence. We're after some indication of the real criminal. Now I suggest that we get onto the house of Hiradas.
Come in, gentlemen. I've been expecting you. Please be seated.
Thank you. Thank you.
A most mysterious murder in the life of my poor nephew will depend upon your exertions, gentlemen. Tell me, what do you think of the beggars that were found in the temple with the bangles and coins?
Well, I'm afraid my judgment of the beggars will disappoint you, Mr. Hiradas.
Huh?
My theory is that they're innocent of the crime.
Really? Why do you say that?
Because they told me of dreams they had. All their dreams were very nearly identical.
You are not English, sir. No Englishman would have thought of that.
No, I'm American with a backlash sprinkling of Italian. My name's Paggioli.
What is your profession, Mr. Paggioli? You are a detective?
No, Mr. Das. I'm a psychologist.
Your soul is at least groping after knowledge. However, it gropes as a blind worm, Mr. Paggioli, and we must find the criminal who committed this crime, and thus restore my nephew Bootman Lal to liberty. You can imagine what a blow this has been to me after I arranged this marriage for my nephew.
You did? Arranged a marriage for a nephew who is in his 30s?
Yes, Mr. Poggioli. I wanted him to avoid the pitfalls into which I fell. He was unmarried, and he had already begun to add dollars to dollars. I did the same thing. Now, look at me. An empty old man in a foreign land. What good is this house where men of my own kind can't come and sit with me, when I have no grandchildren to romp? No. I've piled up dollars and pounds. I've eaten the world, Mr. Poggioli. Found it bitter. Now here I am, an outcast.
And why don't you go back to India, Mr. Hyradas?
Why, Mr. Poggioli, my mind is half English. If I should return to Benares, I'd walk about thinking what the temples cost. How much was the value of the stone set in the eye of Krishna's image? If I would ever be one with my own people again, Mr. Poggioli, I must leave this Western mind and body here in Trinidad.
That's very interesting and moving, but we were discussing your nephew, Budman Lal.
Wait. In searching for the criminal, I would suggest you look for a moneyed man. Let me tell you my suspicions, and you can work out the details.
What are they?
I went out to the temple this morning to have the body of my poor murdered niece brought here to my villa for burial. I talked to the 5 beggars, and they told me there was a 6th sleeper in the temple last night.
Was there indeed?
Yes, Mr. Lowe. A white man.
A white man?
Yes, Mr. Lowe. All 5 of the coolies and my man, Luca, told me it was true.
But, Mr. Hyradas, decapitation is not an American mode of murder.
American?
I was speaking generally. I mean, a white man's method of murder.
That is indicative in itself. I meant to call your attention to that point. It shows the white man was a highly educated man who had studied the mental habits of other peoples than his own. So he was enabled to give the crime an extraordinary resemblance to a Hindu crime.
But what motive could a white man have?
Possibly robbery, Mr. Poggioli. Or if he were a very intellectual man, he might have murdered the poor child by way of experiment.
A murder for experiment?
Yes, Mr. Lowe. To record the psychological reaction.
Why, I can't entertain such a theory as that, Mr. Hyradas.
Oh, no. It is too far-fetched.
However, it is worth investigating, is it not?
Yes, but I'll begin my investigations with the man Gukha.
By all means, Mr. Poggioli. And in your investigations, gentlemen, hire any assistance you may need. Draw on me for any amount. I want my nephew exonerated, and above all things, I want the real criminal apprehended and brought to the gallows.
What do you think of that, Poggioli? White man in that temple. Sounds like pure fiction to me, to shield Budman Lal. You know, these fellows hang together like thieves. Say, it's a jolly good thing we didn't decide to sleep in the temple last night, isn't it?
You know, in my opinion, Lowe, the actual criminal is Budman Lal.
Same here. I thought so ever since I first saw the account in the paper. Somehow these fellows will chop their wives to pieces for no reason at all.
Well, what do you know about Budman Lal?
Well, he was born here and Dora has been a figure because of his rich uncle.
Lived here all his life?
Except when he was in Oxford for 6 years.
Oh, he's an Oxford man.
Yes.
There you are. That's the trouble.
I don't understand. What do you mean, Poggioli?
No doubt he fell in love with some English girl, but when old Hyradas chose a Hindu child for his wife, Budman couldn't refuse marriage. No man's going to quarrel with a $5 million legacy. Then he chose this ghastly method of getting rid of the child bride.
I dare say you're right. I feel sure Boatman Lau killed the girl. George, I'm getting tired of walking. There's a cab. Let's hop it and ride the rest of the way. Hi, cabby! Cab!
I say, oh, I...
Well, aren't you coming?
You know, I don't feel that I can conscientiously continue this investigation, trying to clear a person whom I have every reason to believe guilty.
Oh, man, don't leave me like this. At least come as far as police headquarters with me and explain your theory about Grugas, the temple keeper, and the rights.
Well, I thought I'd go back to your cottage and pack my things.
Pack your things? Well, your boat doesn't sail until Friday.
Yes, I know, but there's a daily service to Curacao. It's not me to go there.
Oh, no. Now, you can't run off like that just when I've stirred up an interesting murder mystery for you to unravel. Why, well, Jolie, you ought to appreciate my efforts as a host more than that.
Well, all right. To the police station.
Yes, sir.
Chief Vickers, this is my friend, Mr. Poggioli. Poggioli, Mr. Vickers is chief of Trinidad's police force.
How do you do? How do you do?
Chief Vickers, I've asked Mr. Poggioli's counsel in the Boatman Lau murder case. He's already developed a theory as to who is the actual murderer of Mrs. Boatman Lau.
So have I.
Now, in this matter, Chief Vickers, I want to be perfectly frank with you. I'll admit we're in this case in the employ of Mr. Hiradas and are making an effort to clear his nephew, Boatman Lau. We felt confident you'd use the skill of the police department of Port of Spain to work out a theory clearing Boatman Lau just as readily as you would to convict him.
Our department usually devotes its time to conviction and not to clearing criminals.
Yes, I know that, but if our theory will point out the actual murderer...
What is your theory?
Mr. Poggioli's deduction is based on the dreams of the men who were found in the temple.
So Mr. Poggioli's deduction is based on dreams.
It would be a remarkable coincidence, Mr. Vickers, if 5 men had lurid dreams simultaneously without some physical cause. It suggests strongly that their tea or rice was doped. Now, if you find out what soporific was used, then have your men search the sales record of the drugstores in the city to see who has lately bought such a drug. You will find the murderer.
Uh-huh. How do you like Trinidad, Mr. Poggioli?
I like it very much indeed.
You've just arrived, haven't you?
Yes.
In what university do you teach back in the States?
Ohio State.
A chair of criminal psychology in an ordinary state university?
I'm not a professor. I'm simply a docent. And I haven't specialized on criminal psychology. I quiz on general psychology.
You're not teaching now?
No, this is my sabbatical year.
You look young to have taught in the university 6 years, but then you Americans start young in your land of specialists. Now, Mr. Poggioli, I suppose you're wrapped up heart and soul in your psychology.
I am.
You'd do anything in the world to advance yourself in the science.
I rather think so.
Especially keen on original research work.
That's what he is, Chief Vickers. You know what he asked me to do yesterday afternoon?
No, what, Mr. Lowe?
Oh, I don't think we ought to burden Mr. Vickers with our household anecdotes.
Oh, but I'm really curious. Just what did Mr. Poggioli ask you to do yesterday afternoon, Mr. Lowe?
Oh, well, really, nothing at all. It was just a little psychological experiment we wanted to do.
Did he do it?
Oh, no, I didn't do it.
Oh, as unconventional as that?
Oh, it was really nothing at all.
I think I could guess your anecdote if I tried, gentlemen. About a half an hour ago, I received a telephone message from my man stationed at the temple to keep a lookout for you and Mr. Poggioli.
Look out for us?
Yes, because one of the coolies under arrest told him that Mr. Poggioli slept in the temple last night.
Oh, but that's not true. That's exactly what he didn't do. He suggested it to me, but I said no. You remember, Poggioli, you didn't do it. Did you, Poggioli? Did you?
You see, he did.
Gentlemen, I had a perfectly valid and important reason for sleeping in the temple last night, and so I can only ask your sympathetic attention to what I'm about to say.
Go on.
You remember, Lo, you and I were down there watching a wedding procession. Well, just as the music stopped and the procession entered the building, suddenly it seemed to me as if they'd vanished.
Naturally, they'd gone into the building.
Oh, no, I don't mean that. I'm afraid you won't understand what I do mean. That the whole procession had ceased to exist, melted into nothingness. You see, that's really the idea on which the Hindus base their notion of heaven. Oblivion, nothing.
Yes, I've heard that before.
Well, Our medieval Gothic architecture was the conception of our Western heaven, and I thought perhaps the Indian architecture had somehow caught the motif of the Indian religion, you know, suggested nirvana. That's what amazed and intrigued me. That's why I wanted to sleep in the place. I wanted to see if I could further my shred of impression. Does that make any sense to you, Mr. Vickers?
We're not interested why you went, Mr. Poggioli. We know a murder took place in the temple.
You can't think that I committed a horrible murder as an experiment.
You intellectual chaps do some pretty weird things, Mr. Poggioli. Why, only the other day I was reading about two young intellectuals. Yes, these fellows I read about also tried to turn an honest penny by their murder. I don't suppose you happened to notice yesterday that the little bride, Maila Ran, was almost covered with gold bangles and coins?
Of course I noticed. I had nothing whatever to do with her. I did sleep in the temple.
By the way, you say you slept on a rug just as the coolies did.
Yes, I did.
And you didn't wake up either, Mr. Poggioli?
No.
Then did the child's murderer happen to put a coin and a bangle in your pockets, just as he did the other sleepers in the temple?
I don't know. I haven't looked in my pockets.
Then please do so now, Mr. Poggioli.
Yes. Here they are, Mr. Vickers.
You don't happen to have any more, do you?
No. I've already been through all my pockets, and I haven't any more.
Well, that's something. Of course, you might have expected just such a questioning as this and provided yourself with these 2 pieces of gold, but I doubt it. Somehow, I don't believe that you're an experienced enough man to think of such a thing. However, we shall see. I suppose you have no objection, Mr. Poggioli, to my accompanying you over to have a little search of your baggage in Mr. Lowe's cottage? Now then, Mr. Poggioli, be so kind as to open your trunk. Just as I thought. A trunk tray full of bangles and coins. I'll say one thing for you, though, Mr. Poggioli. Your nerve almost got you by.
But you can't believe that I did it. No. You don't believe I did this, do you? I don't. If I did it, I was sleepwalking. God, to think that it's possible, but right here in my own
Well, we might as well start back, I suppose. This is all.
I'll go back with you, Mr. Poggioli. I'll see you through. Somehow I can't. I won't believe you did it. You know, Poggioli, you set out to clear Boatman Lal, and, well, dash it all, it looks as if you had.
No, he didn't. Boatman Lal was out of jail at least an hour before you fellows came into police headquarters to see me.
How? You mean that you turned him loose?
Yes.
How's that, Chief Vickers?
Because, Mr. Lowe, he didn't go to the temple at all with his wife last night. He went down to Queen's Park Hotel and played billiards till 1 o'clock. He called up a few friends and proved that easily enough.
Well, that leaves nobody but...
Yes, Poggioli.
I don't know anything about it. If I did commit the murder, I was asleep. I don't know anything about it. That's all I can say. I don't know anything about it.
Perhaps arrest in jail will help restore your memory. Well, we'll see.
Come now, Poggioli, old man. Don't be too downhearted. I promise you, I'll do everything I can.
The case against Henry Poggioli having been duly tried by a jury of your peers who have been found guilty and by the powers vested in me, I herewith sentence you to be hanged by the neck until you are dead.
Seems to me that the image on the altar moved. And suddenly the dome overhead was opened and left me staring upward into a vast abyss, where I was alone in endless space, where all creatures and all matter that had ever been or ever would be were wrapped up in me, Pacioli. That's my dream. That's an odd thing. 6 men dreaming the same dream in different terms. There must be a physical cause for such a phenomenon. Of course! I've got it! Vickers! Oh! I have it! I've solved it! Get me out of here! I know who killed the girl! What is it, my friend? I know who murdered the bride. Old Hierodas. Now listen. Go tell Vickers to take the gold he found in my trunk and develop all the fingerprints on it. He'll find Hierodas's prints. Also tell him to follow out that opiate clue I gave him. He'll find Hierodas and a man to put the gold in my trunk. See if they don't find brass or steel filings in my room where the scoundrel sat and filed a new key.
But they've already done that long ago.
Have?
But certain. And old Hierodas confessed everything. Though why a rich old man like him should have murdered a pretty child is more than I can see.
I think they got me as a scapegoat.
Oh, he explained that to the police. He said he picked out a white man, so the police would make a thorough investigation and be sure to catch him. Aye. But what I can't see is why the old boy wanted to be caught and hanged. Why didn't he commit suicide?
Why? I know why. Because according to his religion, in that case his soul would have returned in the form of some beast. He wanted to be slain because he expects to be reborn instantly in Benares, with little Maila Ran as his bride instead of his nephew's. He hopes to be a great man with wife and children. All the things he was not, here in Trinidad.
Yes, you must be right.
Why didn't you come and tell me of old Hierodas's confession the moment it occurred? What do you mean keeping me here when you know I'm an innocent man? Why didn't you tell me before this?
Because I couldn't. Old Hierodas didn't confess until a month and 10 days after you were hanged.
So ends The Passage to Benares, T.S. Scribling's tale of mysterious death and death mysterious. This was tonight's story of Suspense. Suspense is produced by William Spear. John Dietz was our guest director this evening. Tonight's radio drama was written by Carol Case and scored by Bernard Herman. Paul Stewart was Poggioli, Barry Kroger was Mr. Hierodas, and Horace Graham played Mr. Lowe. Others in the cast were Alan Hewitt and Guy Rep. Next week at this time, Columbia will bring you another selected story from the world's great literature of thrills, another study in suspense. This is Barry Kroger, and this is the Columbia Broadcasting System. Columbia Network takes pleasure in bringing you Suspense. Suspense. Columbia's play theater of outstanding thrillers. Produced and directed by William Spear. Scored by Bernard Herman. Multiple melodramas from fiction and stage and screen, from the world's great literature of entertaining excitement, presented each week to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense. Tonight's story, by America's distinguished author-playwright Owen Johnson, gathers its suspense in a very gentle way.
doesn't have a spectacular finish. Garnished with revolver shots. There are no graveyard watches. There's not so much as a single lifeless body, identified or unidentified. It's a tale told in a club room, the Artists and Writers Club in New York. A tale of high-class robbery and suspicion, of how some ladies and gentlemen nervously counted 100 in the dark.
That was a fine meal. Me for the club anytime.
Here, we can all sit here, Penny.
Yes, if you'll just draw up that chair for Mr. Peters.
Oh, yeah. Peters.
Thank you. Do you all know Peters? This is Mr. Steindahl.
How do you do?
Mr. Golier.
Oh, I think we've met.
Oh, yes. How are you? Oh, you know each other. Yes. And the one who drew up the chair, Mr. Rankin.
How do you do?
Well, I guess we're all acquainted now.
To get back to our table discussion, Queenie.
Oh, yes. How about a drink? Who joins?
Oh, yeah, pleasure.
Fine. John. Well, now, Steindahl, as I said, there are only half a dozen stories in the world. What is more to the point? There's every reason... Yes, sir. What? Oh, 5 with soda, John. Yes. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. What is more to the point, gentlemen, is the small number of human relations that are so simple and yet so fundamental that they can be eternally played upon, redressed, and reinterpreted in every language, in every age, and yet remain inexhaustible in the possibility of variation.
Well, that's true, of course. It's very possible.
Take the eternal triangle. 2 men and a woman, or 2 women and a man. Its variations extend to thousands. Is that right, Rankin?
Well, in a way.
Ah, here we are. Set them down right there, John. Very well, sir. Soda? Here you are.
Thank you.
And you? Soda, Peter? Yes, please.
I mean, they can see.
Here you are. Thanks. And here's yours. Thank you. And now, soda in mine. Well, here's to you all.
I'm afraid we can't see eye to eye, Queenie. I believe there are situations, original situations, that are independent of your human emotions, that exist just because they are situations, accidental and nothing else.
As for instance?
Well, I'll just cite an ordinary one that happens to come to my mind. In a group of 5 men, such as we are here, a theft takes place. One man is the thief. Now, which one? Now, I'd like to know what emotion that interprets. And yet it certainly is an original theme at the bottom of the whole literature.
It's not the same thing at all. Detective stories.
I could answer that the situation you give can be traced back to the commonest of human emotions, curiosity.
I think Queenie has you there, Rankin.
What is the peculiar fascination that the detective problem exercises over the human mind? You will say, curiosity. Yes and no. Admit at once that the whole art of a detective story consists in the statement of the problem. Anyone can do it. I can do it. Steindahl can do it. Rankin, I believe even you can do it. The solution doesn't count. It is hugely banal. It should be prohibited. What if the stuff is? Can we guess it? There you have it. The problem, the detective story. Now, why the fascination? I'll tell you. It appeals to our curiosity. Yes. But deeper, to a sort of intellectual vanity. 5 men present. The theft takes place. Who's the thief? Who will guess it first? Whose brains will show its superior cleverness? You see? That's all. That's all there is to it.
Out of all of which, the interesting thing is that Rankin has supplied the reason why the supply of detective fiction is inexhaustible. It does all come down to the simplest terms. 5 possibilities, 1 answer.
Well, the reason is that the situation does constantly occur. It's a situation that any of us might get into any time.
Yes, I know of an incident of that kind that happened to a friend of mine last month.
Of course, gentlemen. You are glorifying commonplaces. Every crime, I tell you, expresses itself in the terms of the picture puzzle that you feed your 6-year-old. It's only the variation that is interesting. Take the well-known instance of the visitor at the club and the rare coin, for example. You all know that story. You've heard it, haven't you?
I don't think I have.
Sure. Why, it's very well known.
Oh, go ahead, tell it.
A distinguished visitor is brought into a club. A dozen men, say, present at dinner, long table. Conversation finally veers around curiosities and relics. One of the members present then takes from his pocket what he announces as one of the rarest coins in existence. Passes it around the table. Coin travels back and forth, everyone examining it, and the conversation moves to another topic. All at once, the owner calls for his coin. It is nowhere to be found. Everyone looks at everyone else. First, they suspect a joke. Then it becomes serious. The coin is immensely valuable. Who is taking it? The owner is a gentleman. Does the gentlemanly, idiotic thing, of course, laughs as he knows someone is playing a practical joke on him, and that the coin will be returned tomorrow. The others refuse to leave the situation so. One man proposes that they all submit to search. Everyone gives his assent until it comes to the stranger. He refuses, curtly, roughly, without giving any reason. Uncomfortable silence. The man is a guest. No one knows him particularly well, but still he is a guest. One member tries to make him understand that no offense is offered, that the suggestion was simply to clear the atmosphere. The stranger becomes very firm, very proud, and says, I refuse to allow my person to be searched, and I refuse to give the reason for my action. Another silence. The visitor evidently has the coin, but he is their guest, and etiquette protects him. Nice situation, huh?
Well, what's the answer?
The table is cleared. A waiter removes a dish of fruit, and there, under the ledge of the plate, where it's been pushed, is the coin. Banal explanation, eh? Of course. Solutions always should be. At once, everyone apologizes to him, whereupon the visitor rises and says, now I can give you the reason for my refusal to be searched. There are only 2 known specimens of that coin in existence, and the second happens to be here in my vest pocket.
That's rather obvious.
Of course, the story is well invented, but the turn to it is very nice. Very nice, indeed.
Well, I don't know. Ending is very unsatisfactory. The visitor should have had on him not another coin, but something absolutely different, something destructive, say, of a woman's reputation, and a great tragedy should have been threatened by the casual misplacing of the coin.
Well, I've heard the same story told in a dozen different ways.
Oh, it's happened 100 times. It must continually happen.
I know of one extraordinary instance. In fact, the most extraordinary instance of this sort I've ever heard.
Peters, you rascal. I see you've been quietly letting us set stage for you.
Well, it's not a story that will please everyone.
Why not?
Because you will want to know what no one can ever know.
It has no conclusion, then?
Yes and no. As far as it concerns a woman, quite the most remarkable woman I've ever met, the story is complete.
Do I know the woman?
Possibly. Probably, I should say. As a matter of fact, this should be particularly interesting to you because I believe that most of you are acquainted with the people involved. The names, of course, are disguised. I think... yes, I have. Just time before I catch my train to tell it to you. Mrs. Rita Kildare inhabited a charming bachelor girl's studio. Very elegant. The duplex pattern of one of the buildings just off Central Park West. She knew very nearly everyone in that indescribable society in New York that's drawn from all levels, and that imposes but one condition for membership, to be amusing. In this mingled society, her invitations were eagerly sought. Her dinners were spontaneous, and the discussions, though gay and usually daring, were invariably under the control of wit and good taste. On the Sunday night of this adventure, she had, according to her custom, sent away her Filipino butler and invited to an informal chafing dish supper 7 of her more unusual friends. At 7 o'clock, having finished dressing, she put in order her bedroom, which formed a sort of free passage between the studio and a small dining room to the kitchen beyond. Then, going into the studio, she struck a match and was about to light the candlesticks which illuminated the room when the bell rang, and a Mr. Flanders, a broker, compact, nervously alive, well-groomed, was waiting as she opened the door.
Well, you're early.
On the contrary, you are late.
Well, in any case, hello, and come inside. Here, let me take your things.
Thank you. Well, I'm the first, I suppose.
Of course. And since you are, you can be a good boy and help me with the candles.
Delighted. Who's to be here tonight?
The Enos Jacksons?
I thought they were separated.
Not yet.
How interesting. Only you, dear lady, would dream of serving us a couple on the verge.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Assuredly. Where did you know Jackson?
Through the Warings. Jackson's a rather doubtful person, isn't he?
Well, let's call him a very sharp lawyer. They tell me, though, he's been gambling pretty much. In deep.
How about yourself?
Me? I'm a bachelor. If I lose my shirt, it makes no difference.
Is that possible?
Probable, even. Who else is coming?
Oh, Maud Lily. You know her?
I don't think so.
You met her here some time ago. A journalist.
Oh, yes, of course. I'd forgotten.
Mr. Harris, a clubman, is coming, and the Stanley Cheevers.
Stanley Cheevers? Are we going to gamble?
Don't tell me you object.
Certainly not. Only the Cheevers. They play quite a game. Yes, well united. They have an unusual streak of good luck. By the way, it's Jackson, isn't it, who is so attractive to Mrs. Cheever?
Quite right.
What a charming party. Where does Maud Lily come in?
Don't joke. She's in a desperate way.
And young Harris?
Oh, he's to make the salad and cream the chicken.
See the whole party. I, of course, am to add the element of respectability.
Of what? Don't play baby with me, my dear Flanders.
I apologize.
That's better.
No one, of course, knows who else is coming.
No one, of course.
The Stanley Cheevers entered. A short, fat man with a vacant, fat face and slow-moving eye, and his wife, voluble, nervous, overdressed, pretty. Mr. Harris came in with Maud Lily, a woman straight, dark, Indian, great masses of somber hair, held in a little too loosely for neatness, with thick, quick lips and eyes that rolled away from the person who was talking to her. The Enos Jacksons were late, and still agitated as they entered. His forehead had not quite banished the scowl, nor her eyes the scorn. He was of the type that never lost his temper, but caused others to lose theirs. Mrs. Jackson seemed fastened to her husband by an invisible leash. You looked at her curiously, and wondered what such a nature would do in a crisis, with a lurking sense of a woman who carried with her her own impending tragedy. As soon as the company had been completed, and the incongruity of the selection had been perceived, a smile of malicious anticipation ran the rounds, which the hostess cut short by saying,
Well, now that everyone's here, this is the order for the night. You can quarrel all you want, you can whisper all the gossip you can think of about one another, but everyone is to be amusing. Also, everyone is to help with dinner. And nothing formal, nothing serious. We may all be bankrupt, divorced, or dead tomorrow, but tonight we'll be gay. That's the invariable rule of the house.
For she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny.
Oh, thanks, everyone. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll get on with the cooking. Harris, I'll need you.
Right with you.
May I be of any help? Thank you, Maud, dear. Oh, Mrs. Cheever, you might come along, too. All right.
This is an adorable bedroom.
Oh, thank you, dear. Now for my apron. Oh, there it is. Tie me up in the back, will you please, Maud?
Of course. There you are.
Fine, thanks. Now just let me get my rings off, and I'll be all ready to go to work. Oh, this is such a lovely apartment, Mrs. Kildare. Thanks. Soap and water always seem to do it. Ah, there.
Your rings are so beautiful.
They are nice, aren't they? But there's only one that's very valuable, the sapphire.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Let me see. Well, it must be very valuable. It cost $10,000 6 years ago. It's been my talisman ever since. For the moment, however, I'm a cook. You're not going to leave the rings there? Why, of course. Now, I'm the cook. Maud Lily, you're the scullery maid. Harris is the chef, and we're all under his orders. Mrs. Cheever, did you ever peel onions? Oh, good heavens, no. Well, there are no onions to peel. All you have to do is help set the table.
Under their hostess's gay guidance, the 7 guests began to circulate busily through the room, laying the table, grouping the chairs, opening bottles, and preparing the material for the chafing dishes. Mrs. Kildare, in the kitchen, ransacked the icebox, and with her own hands shredded the chicken and measured the cream.
Flanders, carry this in carefully. Cheever, stop watching your wife and put the salad bowl on the table. Everything ready, Harris?
All set.
All right, everyone sit down. I'll be right in.
She went into her bedroom, took off her apron, and hung it in the closet. Then, going to her dressing table, she drew the hat pin around which were her rings from the pincushion and carelessly slipped them on her fingers. But all at once, she frowned and looked quickly at her hand. Only 2 rings were there. The 3rd ring, the sapphire, was missing. She said to herself, and returned to her dressing table. Immediately she stopped. She remembered quite clearly putting the hat pin through the 3 rings. She made no attempt to search further, but remained without moving, her fingers slowly drumming on the table. Who had taken the ring? Each of our guests had had a dozen opportunities in the course of the time she'd been busy in the kitchen. She ran over their characters and their situations as she knew them. Strangely enough, at each, her mind stopped upon some reason that might explain the sudden temptation.
Find out nothing this way. That's not the important thing to me just now. The important thing is to get the ring back.
And slowly, deliberately, she began to walk back and forth, her clenched hand beating the deliberate, rhythmic measure of her journey. 5 minutes later, as Harris, installed as chef over the chafing dish, was giving directions, spoon in the air, Mrs. Kildare came into the room like a lengthening shadow. Her entrance had been made with scarcely a perceptible sound, and yet each guest was aware of it at the same moment, with a little nervous start.
Heavens, dear lady, you come in on us like a Greek tragedy. What is it you have for us? A surprise?
I have something to say to you. Mr. Enos Jackson,
Yes, Miss Kildare?
kindly do as I ask you.
Certainly.
Go to the door.
Go to the door.
Please. Lock it. And bring me the key.
Finally.
You've locked it?
Is that your whole
Thank you.
team?
Now, the
Was that
bedroom
you
door.
doing
Would you
it
do
or
the
one of
same?
them?
There's none. I didn't buy it yet.
I think it's because you had bought it. You're not going to buy the beat ant? Flying
The
ant?
ant, I don't know. I want to save up for Halloween. So
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
I mean, I could buy some.
Mr. Cheever,
Yeah?
would you blow out all the candles except the candelabra on the table?
Blow out all the candles.
Except the candelabra.
All right.
For goodness sake, Mrs. Kildare. What is it? I am getting terribly worked up. My nerves are all
Sorry,
made up.
Mrs. Jackson.
That's the last candle.
All right. Now listen. My sapphire ring has just been stolen.
What?
You don't mean it. The ring's been taken within the last 20 minutes. I'm not going to mince words. The ring has been taken, and the thief is among you.
But Mrs. Kildare, is it possible?
Yes, Mrs. Cheever. There's not the slightest doubt.
Mrs. Cheever.
3 of you were in the bedroom when I placed my rings on the pincushion.
Quite true. I was in the room when she took
You
them
went
off.
back to
The
pink?
sapphire ring was on top.
Each of you has passed through there a dozen times since.
Yeah, pink.
My sapphire ring is gone,
Just to match.
and one of you has taken it.
For heaven's sake.
Now listen. I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to stand on ceremony. But I'm going to have my ring back. Listen to me carefully. I'm going to have that ring back. And until I do, not a soul shall leave this room. I don't care who's taken it. All I want is my ring. Now, I'm going to make it possible for whoever took it to restore it without possibility of detection. The doors are locked and will stay locked. I'm going to blow out the remaining candles in the candelabra, and we're going to count 100 slowly. It'll be in absolute darkness. No one will know or see what's done. But if, at the end of that time, the ring is not here on the table, I shall telephone the police and have everyone in this room searched. Am I quite clear? Everyone take his place about the table and remain standing, please. That's it. That'll do. Now, I'll blow out the candles and count 100. No more, no less. Remember, either I get that ring, or everyone in this room will be searched. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37,
Because somebody stole her ring and she's counting to like 2,000 and
40,
I think she's gonna count to 50.
41,
I hope that's it. I thought it was gonna be
43, 44,
She's giving someone a chance to
45,
return it if she's calling the police.
47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61,
Jesus
62,
Christ, I think she's going to 100.
64, 65, 66, 67, 68,
Alright, lady.
69, 70, 71, 72,
They have really
73,
have to go to 100.
the ring, 74,
Holy shit, there it
75,
is.
76, 77, 78,
Alright,
79,
lady, you got the damn
80,
ring.
81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88,
Oh, really?
89,
Can someone tell her to
90,
stop?
91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98,
Oh god.
99,
She's going to 100.
100.
Well, it is well.
Mr. Cheever, you may hand it to me.
God.
Well, now that that's over, we can have a very gay little supper. The light, someone.
And there you are, gentlemen.
Oh, I say, Peters, that's not all.
Absolutely.
The story ends there?
Story ends there.
But who took the ring?
What kind of shitty ass fucking story was
You
that?
never found out?
Never.
No clue?
None.
I'm not sure I like the story.
It's no story at all.
Permit me, it is a story. And it is complete. In fact, I consider it unique because it has none of the banalities of a solution and leaves the problem even more confused than at the start.
We
I
just
don't
stopped
see
writing this
your
fucking
idea
thing and
right
went
here.
home.
You do
That
not
was
see that
basically
any
the
solution would be
end.
commonplace, whereas no solution leaves an extraordinary intellectual problem.
Well, how so?
Well, in the first place, whether the situation actually happened or not, which is in itself a mere triviality, Peters has constructed it in a masterly way, the proof of which is that he has made me listen. Any of those present might have taken the ring. There are therefore 7 solutions, all possible and all logical. But beyond this is left a great intellectual problem.
How so?
Was it a woman who lacked the necessary courage to continue? Or was it a man who repented his first impulse? Is a man or is a woman the greater natural criminal?
Oh, that's simple, Quinny. Woman took it, of course.
On the contrary, it was a man, but the second action was more difficult than the first.
The man, certainly. The restoration of the ring was a logical decision.
You see? Personally, I incline to a woman, for the reason that a weaker feminine nature is strangely susceptible to the domination of her own sex. There you are. We could meet and debate the subject year in and year out and never agree.
I recognize most of the characters, Peters Kildare, of course, is all you say of her. An extraordinary woman. Very quite characteristic of her. Landis, I'm not sure of, but I think I know it.
I'm positive
Did it really happen?
Exactly as I told you. The only one I don't recognize is Harris, your humble servant. What? You, Peters? You were there?
I was there. I was Harris.
Oh, yes, what is it, John? Mr. Peters, your tray. Mine. Oh, thank you. Yes, I didn't know it was so late. You gentlemen pardon me. Huh? Of course. Nice to meet you all. Night.
Extraordinary. Well, now, I wonder. I wonder if we're wondering the same thing, gentlemen.
And so, with the enigmatic smile of Mr. Peters, or Harris, ends 100 in the Dark, Owen Johnson's smooth story which gave us tonight's Suspense. Suspense is produced by William Spear. Tonight's radio drama was written by Jack Anson Fink, directed by John Dietz, and scored by Bernard Herrmann. Eric Dressler was Mr. Peters. Alice Frost played Mrs. Kildare, and Ted Osborne, Quinny. Others in the cast were Helen Lewis, Joan Shea, Henriette Kay, Frank Reddick, Paul Luther, Stephen Schnabel, Ian Marlin, and Barry Kroger. With this evening's performance, Columbia brings to a conclusion the present series of Suspense. If you like these broadcasts, CBS would be pleased to hear from you. Suspense has been a series presented for your relaxation and enjoyment by the Columbia Broadcasting System.
On that the whole time.
Suspense. The thrill of the nighttime, the hushed voice and the prowling step, the crime that is almost committed, the finger of suspicion pointing perhaps at the wrong man, the stir of nerves at the ticking of the clock, the rescue that might be too late, or the murderer who might get away, mystery and intrigue and dangerous adventure. We invite you to enjoy stories that keep you in suspense.
For Suspense, tonight we present The Lord of the Witch Doctors by John Dixon Carr.
Drums were beating that night. The Lord of the Witch Doctors was on his way. 20 miles off the East African coast, tanned by the blistering heat of the Indian Ocean, lies the island of Zanzibar. Here, many years ago,
To be exact, in the year 1889.
3 nations were rivals for imperial German eagle. At Mogadishu were the Italians. A mixed population boiled along that coast, Portuguese, Arabs, Swahili. On the island itself, Sayyid Khalif, Sultan of Zanzibar, ruled the remains of a once mighty empire. Mohammedan Bantus of the tribe of Zeng. Look over there, in the moonlight. That white building, patched and rotted, was the palace where Sayyid Khalif lived with his fat wives, his captive life. Not far away on the hill overlooking the harbor stood the British Residency. The British resident, or crown official, held uneasy sway against German and Italian influence. And that's the residency on that time.
Mother,
Yes, Father.
come away to the windows, please.
But, Father, those drums are on the mainland.
Never mind.
20 miles from here.
I'd rather you stood there.
This is miles, I don't like, sir. You can see the red light all this distance. We're having a beano of some kind.
You'd better stand back too, Mr. Harris.
Look here, sir.
Yes, Mr. Harris?
I've been your diplomatic attaché in this place for 3 years. Couldn't you call me by my first name in private?
Just as you please. Lower the sun blinds and turn down the wick of that lamp.
You don't think there's any danger?
There's no danger whatever, but...
Piero seems terribly restless tonight.
Only natural, my dear, with the drums going.
Everybody seems restless. This has been going on for days. It's beginning to get on your nerves.
So you feel it too, eh?
And I do wish Said Khalif wouldn't tease Nero. Jab at him with the meat fork and that kind of thing. If that lion ever got loose...
Nerves, my dear, nothing but nerves.
Let's face it, sir. There's something very queer going on over on that mainland.
Well, suppose there is.
All we know is what Nyoka knows. This great witch doctor, whoever he is, has been making a triumphal progress to the coast. The whole bush is afraid of him.
You alarm me.
Nyoka says he's got horns. He'll make himself 7 feet tall, like stretching an accordion.
Oh, really, Bill Harris.
Well, I don't say I believe it. I say it might be dangerous. Now, for instance, could this be one of Dr. Schmidt's tricks?
Dr. Schmidt is a friend of ours.
Yes, he's also head of the German East Africa Company.
Dr. Schmidt is a gentleman.
That coast over there, he's got every native chief in his pocket.
Dr. Schmidt assured me that the German emperor has no more territorial claims in East Africa.
We get our trade concessions from Said Khalif. Said's our only friend, but we can't even be sure of it. The Germans give him trade gin and a grand piano. The Italians give him 3 new wives, his harem. What do we give him?
I have no instructions from London about the situation in this island.
No. Somebody in Whitehall probably forgot to post them.
For the last time, Mr. Harris, I will not hear His Majesty's government criticized like that.
Sorry.
These things take time. If there's any danger, we'll be notified in due course.
Listen.
Well, they're only our own natives. They beat their own drums, you know.
Somebody went past that window.
It's probably only Nyoka, my dear. Surely you're not afraid of our own servant.
No, but I...
Master! Nyoka, listen to me. Don't hang on to that big curtain. You'll pull it down. Now stand up straight and tell me. What is it?
He here, brother. He here, yes, please.
Who's here?
Big witch doctor here, yes, please. He come up past the moonlight. He walk slow, boom, boom. He got big teeth eat with.
He likes
Just
the
right front door now.
What was that?
Here's what it is.
Right, sir. We have got it, sir. There's somebody coming down the hall.
Better turn down that lamp, Martha.
It's like a cat.
Find the lamp.
He's trying to stab himself in the eye with
There's a
it.
revolver in the table drawer behind you, sir.
I don't need it. Stand perfectly still, all of you.
Now, please, friends all, don't be alarmed.
Are you English?
That's right, miss. Born and bred in Streatham. Which of you is the British consul?
I am the British resident, sir. My name is Richardson. May I ask the meaning of this tomfoolery?
Well, that's just what I'm here to tell you. Or maybe I'd better show you. Now, observe me right hand. I hold it up so, and
as I live, a lighted cigar. But perhaps the lady doesn't like smoking in the drawing room. Now, look here, there's nothing up my sleeves. I wouldn't deceive you for the world. I turn over my hand, and would you believe it? A glass of water.
Is this man insane?
Father, I think he's trying to tell you he's a magician.
That's right, miss. Direct from the Egyptian Hall, Piccadilly. Animal taming and magic. That's my line.
Then you're the famous witch doctor that's got all the natives in an uproar?
Nobody else, young fella.
Well, you tell us what you mean by this nonsense. Scaring everybody when there's no danger.
No danger? I suppose you haven't heard about Sayyid Caliph and his Gatling guns?
Gatling guns?
Kindly presented by Dr. Otto Schmidt. And believe me, all you've got is an appointment with a Gatling gun, unless my nonsense steps in. Here, take a look at this.
You can't be from the British Foreign Office.
Well, that's just what I am, Governor, and going up in the world, don't you think? By the way, I'd better give you your instructions. The envelope's pretty dirty and a little bit smelly from being under my furs and devil's ink, but read it, sir. Go on and read it.
Foreign Office, Whitehall, British Consul, Zanzibar. Bearer of this letter, the Great Mephisto.
That's me. Real name, Barney Dix.
They must be out of their mind.
Are they? Listen, old man. I've been 3 weeks in that jungle with a Swahili interpreter. I've been bitten and stung and fried to death. But Schmidt or no Schmidt, I've got those native chiefs just where I want them. You see what happens when I announce I'm a friend of the Great White Queen? Why, you'll have 'em eaten out of your hand. All we've got to do is get around Sayyid Caliph here on this island.
But do we need to get around him?
The young lady, be good enough not to speak until you're spoken to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Father. Sayyid may be lazy and as fat as a hippopotamus. He's rather a fine old boy.
Is he?
You said something about Gatling guns.
Now listen. Here's the game.
Father, I don't like this. I've never had your nose dressed as that.
Never mind, Nero. Go on.
Well, I came over here tonight in a steamboat. Tomorrow I'm paying my state visit to the great Sultan Sayyid Caliph. Now you present me as your friend, and a friend of the Great White Queen. I do my best tricks at Is anything wrong with your native boy?
I'll be still.
Not afraid of our witch doctor friend, are you?
No, I could Christian.
Yeah, what are you doing? Come out from under that sofa.
But Juana, I see something. I look out the window and see Juana Baldhead coming up high.
Juana Baldhead?
That's Dr. Schmidt.
Dr. Schmidt? Well, he mustn't find me here.
Yes, I quite agree. This is most irregular.
Is there a back way out of here?
Yes, through that arch. Stay in the back room. Nyoko will show you.
We go with witch doctor.
Yes, hurry, please.
I know like.
Never mind what you like, you go.
All right, Master.
All right, they've gone.
Yes, about time, too. Good evening, Dr. Schmidt. Pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure to see you.
My friends, I wish I could say it was such a pleasure to see you.
Isn't it, Doctor?
Is at any time but now. Do not mistake me, I beg of you. No, it is that confounded lion Neo. Always I say it will happen. Now it has happened.
What about Nero?
My friends, I regret. Yes, made escape. Yes, tasted blood.
What's that?
You permit that I sit down and take off my sun helmet. I am not young and I'm tired.
It's not Sayyid Caliph.
Yeah, it is so. Yes, tis that lion once store.
Oh, poor old boy. He was our friend. He's not dead.
Yeah, I regret. Yeah, he is dead. Sultan of Sands of our state.
Oh, dead. But how did the lion ever get at him?
He drank too much pumba. That was his trouble. He got drunk and think he can do too much. So he opened the door and into the lion's cage.
Into the cage?
Yeah, would you believe it?
Not easily.
But it's true. Over to Paris there's what you call gnashing of teeth. The son Novius in tears.
Did you see this happen, Doctor?
No. I go there later and they tell me. It's all of us because of some foolish toy. Doomhead story. He has been struck over the head and thrown into the cage by someone who did not like him.
That's more likely, if you ask me.
My friend, it is foolishness. Everybody liked old man. He was a father to his people and a kind friend.
Doctor, are you telling us that Said may have been put into that cage unconscious?
It is what one African the soldier says, yeah.
Well, then he may still be alive.
Life? It's impossible.
It's more than possible. A lion may maul an unconscious man, but it doesn't often kill him. This is vital. Vital to Said himself and others as well. You're a doctor.
Can't you go and make sure?
My friend, I regret. I am not that kind of man.
Harris, you may be right. I think I'd better go myself. This is a good idea, sir. I'll stay here and entertain Dr. Schmidt. Unless, of course, he wants to go too.
No. I think I do not like sights of that sort. I have a tender heart and I have illnesses. Besides, you can do nothing. I tell you, he is dead.
We'll see. Martha, you'd better come with me. Your nurse's training may be of some use at last.
Of course. Hadn't we better go the back way and speak to Nyoka?
Yes, Nyoka mustn't be troubled in that back room.
A very good evening to you, Dr. Schmidt.
Mr. Harris, they have good hearts. They're so foolish. I would give my own right arm to aid that poor man. But, well, we must have philosophy. We must cheer up.
There. Yes. Now, Doctor, we're all alone.
So we are. We must sit down and have a nice, comfortable chat. Yes?
Definitely, yes.
Oh.
I wanted to have a word with you anyway.
So? About what?
Oh, various things.
I am happy to give you all the time in the world. I like talking to young people. It makes me feel young again myself.
Like, Novi?
Novi?
Say, Khalif's eldest son. The new Sultan.
One fine young man. Or a savage.
Yes, but weak. Easy to manage. And very fond of his father, too. It's a wonder he didn't have the lion shot after they got the body away.
Shot with what, my friend? I do not consider the man. But the shot with these brutes, they have nothing but loading muskets. The nearer the dose.
Suppose they had Gatling guns. Just suppose that, of course.
Well, I'm afraid Gatlings would be of no better use. You only wound. Kill a lion in the street's eye or half the high-power bullet. What is the matter with us? Why are we talking of these things?
Talking of death, you mean? Sayyid Khalif, who gave all the trade concessions on Zanzibar to the British?
My friend, I was talking about express rights.
Look here, don't you find it warm in here?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, it smells of animals' fur. I'll just raise the sunrise.
No. You must not trouble yourself to do that.
No trouble.
I beg of you, not to
Doctor, you've been knocking your apart ever since you've been here. Little fresh air never hurt anybody. Here. Yeah, that better?
Much. Why not sit down, my boy, and we have a nice chat?
Fine enough night. No smell of the animals' cage here.
My friend, you talk like a hunter.
Yes. Or a victim. Yes. Fine night. This part of the world. Fire still burning on the mainland. I wonder if that's a good sign.
Fine.
Wish I knew. This sea is like skim milk under the moon. And good Lord.
What is it? What makes you jump?
Look there, in the harbor.
My friend? See? What if I take off my spectacles and wipe?
My man, you must see it. In the harbor, out at the left there, beyond the shadow of those big palm trees. Don't you see our riding lights? It looks like... By George, it is. It's a warship.
It's only a German gunboat, my friend. Only a very little German gunboat.
German gunboat.
My friend, we must not be so distrustful. That is not kind.
Let me get a telescope.
But I tell you who she is. It is not. She is on what you call a goodwill tour. You're not angry.
Angry? Friend.
You not. No, I could not guess. That is, England is hard to understand.
We know that outside.
I tell you something. The Germans objected. The British objected. The natives feel too strong. I tell the gunboat go away. I fire an express. It has a sound. Boom! You cannot mistake my mind. That is why I think an express. But nobody will object.
Why, not the least bit.
Tell me, Doctor, do you like it here on this island?
Well, it's not bad.
Did you ever want to get away from a forsaken mud heap like this?
My friend, I am a charm. My duty is here, as I stay.
Yes, I know. Between ourselves, that's exactly my position.
But you are young.
That's not the point. It's the importance of the job. The British don't rule Zanzibar. We hold the trade concessions from Said Khalif, and our residency has to protect them. But even you, Doctor, would be surprised at the amount of trade that we have to protect, and the revenue that comes out of this island.
So now, you say so.
You say so.
It's so much?
More than you think. Of course, I'm not allowed to give you the figures.
No, of course not. I would not dream of asking you. How much would you say it comes to?
Doctor, as one gentleman to another, you're not asking me to give away secrets.
Oh, no. Just only a joke, understand. Please do not try to uptrip me. I would try to pull your leg and see if it doesn't work.
It's all in the game.
Yes, all in the game is gentlemen.
Oh, Doctor, you're quite a humorist.
We are not defensive.
Sure. Well, as I was saying, I hold a rather important job. Of course, Mr. Richardson holds the more important job. He's been very friendly with old Said Khalif on this job. Of course, you know what that job is.
Of course. He's the British consul. What is the matter, Mr. You're smiling. Why are you looking at me like that?
So that's it. That's the game. You made exactly the same mistake that he did.
As who did?
Dr. Schmidt. Have you met the great lord of the witch doctors? The maker of spells and the tamer of lions?
I am a good Christian. I pay no attention to what natives say. I do not believe in witch doctors.
No, neither do I. Not in this one, at any rate.
What?
The witch doctor who came here tonight and said that he was on a mission for the British Foreign Office. He's an imposter from the word go, and you're working with him. Oh, don't upset your chair like that, Dr. Schmidt. Because if you fall on it, you may hurt yourself.
I have not hurt myself, young man.
Oh, yes, you have. The fellow who came here tonight addressed Mr. Richardson as the British consul. That might have been a slip of the tongue. But then you see the letter on the table there?
I have eyesight, I thank you.
That letter is supposed to come from the Foreign Office, and it calls him the British consul, too. I heard it read aloud. Foreign Office may make mistakes, but they don't make mistakes like that. That letter, Doctor, is a forgery. It was forged by a German, and probably by the German who calls himself Barney Hicks, or the Great Mephisto. He's in the back room now.
No, he's not, Governor. He's standing in the doorway behind you now.
Yes, I thought I heard you.
Don't turn around to look at me. I'm just warning you.
You got anything to enforce that?
Yes. I've got a 500 express rifle that could smear you all over the opposite wall.
Well, hast du auf ihm tust?
Und der keinen...
If you fellows are going to shoot me, I wish you'd speak English about it.
Carl, I beg of you. No. Don't fire that rifle.
Exactly. You see, Carl, I'm turning around.
This is all day. Now, Carl.
You see what the doctor means, Carl? If you fire that rifle, you'll send your gunboat out of that harbor just when you need it. Isn't that the signal, Doctor? To send the gunboat away?
Carl, I beg of you.
Yes, it is. Very simple, economical German signal. So, you two killed Said Khalif.
But the surrender. That cannot be proved.
Have to do it, I imagine. Said was the one chief that you couldn't buy or frighten with your witch doctor, so you got rid of him. Tomorrow morning, the witch doctor would have appeared. He'd have scared the daylights out of a weak and superstitious son, Noby.
I told you I was fairly good at my work, Governor. I am.
Yes, and then the witch doctor would have taken over everything. The British resident had to be bamboozled for 24 hours to keep him out of the way with a ghost story about a British agent. And there was a gunboat in the harbor in case of trouble.
Slight mistake there, Governor. There is the gunboat in the harbor.
Yes.
It's really worked out beautifully. The Emperor should be pleased. I don't think your White Queen will be very happy, though. I'm the great witch doctor to that frightened mob over there. Say it is dead. And there's a German gunboat in the harbor.
Listen. I think I hear something.
Whoever's out there, stay back. Whoever's out there, stay back.
Yes, listen to me. He is alive. He's alive.
This is impossible.
We can see him breathe. We don't even think he's badly hurt, but he's still in the cage, unconscious.
Still in the cage? You mean they can't get him out of there?
If he wakes up or they attempt anything, Nero will tear him to pieces. The whole crowd over there is nearly crazy, but they don't dare go into the cage.
Well, gentlemen, you should have been more careful. If they do get Saeed out of there alive, you're done for. In fact, listen.
Nobi and the rest of the natives are coming up here now.
Here, miss. Are you talking about the old boy's son?
Nobi, yes. He wants to see the witch doctor.
The witch doctor? This puts you in some slight trouble, Carl.
Listen to me, miss. I couldn't get that old buzzard out away from that line, even if I... I've got to get out of here.
Too late now, my dear witch doctor. The natives have surrounded the house.
Who's that?
It's Nobi. He's coming down the hall.
I know me. Speak white language. Carry salt and swans. Witch doctor? Much respect. Fall on floor.
Go ahead. Play your part, Carl. Play your ruddy part.
Get up again. Great medicine man. Father hurt. Engaged with lion. You come.
Say something, Carl. You can't be a dumb wizard.
You come.
My dear Nobi, my friend. The witch doctor can't understand you.
Hey, witch doctor. Not speak everything. Bad witch doctor.
No, it is not that. He does not hear you. He's in another world. See how his eyes close. See how he say?
I know this. He saved my father. Or maybe all of you. We will kill all white people here. Witch doctor saved my father from lion. You come.
Nobi, listen to me. You needn't worry. The great witch doctor can save your father.
Go in cage?
No, not go in cage.
Strike with fire?
Yes, that's it. Strike with wizard fire. Open heaven. Flash great light. Nero scream and die. Father saved.
You must not save him. If he remain alive, he will talk. Then the natives will know.
You not want to save father?
The witch doctor does want to save your father, Nobi. You see that gun under his arm?
Gun? Gun no good. Not use gun. Only wound lion. Lion in pain till father.
No, that's not like your muskets, Nobi. It's an express gun. It's a magic gun.
Magic gun?
Listen, Nobi. Magic gun save your father with one shot. Just like that. Lion fall over dead. Your father well again. And our friend.
We use gun. Give me gun.
No, you could not use it, Nobi. Which doctor can use it best? Tell him to use it. Tell him to be sure that he hits the lion.
Now, look here, Harris. I've had enough of this.
Yes, Nobi. If he wants to hit Nero with that white fire, he can strike the lion dead before you could wink your eyes.
Then do.
You better try it, Carl. You better not miss him, or you know what'll happen to every white person in this room.
My hands are shaking.
Magician with shaky hands? That won't do.
I take your shoulder. You follow. Yalla! Ngamba! All come! There is Kate. By Palace door. All fought over river. Wide as day. Down to soldiers. All make light. Now do. Now do.
Better. I told you that. Out of my mind. This, you know, witch doctor. If you hadn't thought of hitting Saeed instead, just imagine what they do to you.
Turn Satan. These torches find me. You do.
The old man's moving. If he stirs, the lion will kill him. You know what that means. That's right. Up with a rifle.
My hands are shaking.
Careful of the sights. It's a point-blank shot.
Allah! Oh, God!
dead. They can go in and carry your father out now.
Lion, dead?
All for that.
German magic.
That's all for
Great
that one.
magic.
Yes, Shelby, it is.
Is that a reload?
English magic is greater.
English magic. Better than German magic?
Yes, Shelby, I'll prove it. Turn around. Look out towards the harbor. I stand here. Wave my hand, like this. Nothing up my sleeves. I wouldn't deceive you for the world. I wave my hand towards the gunboat in the bay. The gunboat sails away. English magic, Nobi. English magic. And so ends The Lord of the Witch Doctors. Tonight's story of suspense.